Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, a trade this morning in the National Basketball Association. ESPN reporting the Clippers, Jazz, and Heat agreeing to a trade that sends Norman Powell to Miami, John Collins to Los Angeles, and Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson to Utah. The Jazz will also receive a 2027 second-round pick from the Clippers. The deal sending Anthony Simons to the Celtics for Drew Holiday now complete, and it is a straight-up player-for-player trade. It was previously reported Portland would also send 2 second-round picks to Boston. Over in baseball, the Mariners off today after finishing off a sweep of the Pirates. They hit the road for a 6-game trip to finish off the first half of the season, starting tomorrow in the Bronx against the Yankees. Mariners second in the AL West, 7 games back of the Astros. And complete rosters have been announced for next week's All-Star Game at Truist Park in Atlanta. Joining starting center Cal Raleigh from the Mariners are outfielder Julio Rodriguez and pitchers Andres Munoz and Brian Wu. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
More, please. Golf in the Northwest with Jason Swigart is back. Saturdays at 8 a.m. before the Sinner and the Saint on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. This is Danny and Dusty.
Meringatang is going to be a thing.
You're not coining anything new.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
I'll throw some monkey sounds in there and call it go.
The old Danny Meringue pie?
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Good afternoon. Hey, welcome in. Happy Monday, everybody. Danny and Dusty with you. How's everybody doing?
I have all of the appendages that I went into the weekend with.
Hey, all right.
That is the important part.
No JPPs here.
Did you guys see the influencer that blew his hand off?
No, but I
Probably
am
not,
not surprised.
I mean, it was bad.
Well, yeah, he blew his hand off. That was kind of in the description of what you said.
That's not a good
I
thing.
mean, it looked like
Not a good one, Bob.
It looked like he put his hand in a meat grinder. It was gnarly, but.
Ooh, I did watch a bunch of diners, drive-ins, and dives this weekend.
Ooh, there you
Speaking
go.
of meat grinders,
I like it. Little grinder action.
All right.
nobody put their hand in one though.
But foreshadowing just so bold here. He had a social clip of him like juggling M80s earlier in the day, and it was like, oh yeah, who could have seen this coming?
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
It did not go well.
Narrator
A little
voice.
record scratch.
Yikes.
You're wondering how I got here, sitting on the ground holding what's left of a stump of a hand.
Yeah, it's that was God, what show was that did they would always go, you may be wondering how this happened. And then it'd go to like Bob O'Reilly. What show was that?
Well, I mean, the Bob O'Reilly. First off, the Bob
Freaks and
O'Reilly
Geeks.
that was one of the CSIs. That was their opening theme. I think
Yeah,
that was
well,
just the
Freaks and
original
Geeks used
CSI.
it too, I think.
Did they?
Didn't they? Yeah. Somebody's going to help me on that. Fan text line, 503-864-6326.
Yeah. That
help
is
me
one
with
of the
that.
things that my brain has just decided to ignore.
God, yeah, I'm spacing on it, and I'm going to go, yes, that's right. So stupid.
I didn't 4th of July too hard. Instead, I went sicko mode and watched the initial Summer League games.
Oh.
Because I'm a true psychopath.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, we know you're a true. psycho,
Also, the facts are here. All the ooh,
It all tracks.
It's all there. Yeah, it's all ball bearings these days. Well, I hope everybody else had
220, 221, whatever works.
Hope everybody else had a good 4th of July.
Indeed.
Yeah, man.
We probably had a better
What a
4th of
weekend.
July than what is his name? Jake Retzlaff?
Jake Retzloff?
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had a better 4th of July than he did.
What'd he do?
Well, I mean, I guess things got dismissed or the case anyway. Whatever.
Yeah, that was before the 4th. They did
I get
that.
it.
They did
It's
that
a couple
before.
days. I'm sorry. I tried to make a play on words.
Oh, I thought he was. I thought you were talking about like something that I missed. Like,
Yeah, I was
he
like,
tried
what?
to enter the portal and they said no portal for you.
Yeah.
You're gonna be sitting there in that portal.
You're gonna sit there and think about the sex you had.
That's right. That's right. Get out of here.
Get out of here with your sex.
All right. Well, let's address the elephant in the room. Cal Raleigh does not play center.
No, he plays catcher.
Yeah.
Nor he doesn't play it in the NBA or NFL.
Nope. Neither
one. You had two professional sports that have that position.
Mm-hmm.
The one that Cal Raleigh plays
Look, if Cal
is
Raleigh,
not the sport.
That's not that one.
They do
No.
not. Or
No.
they have center field.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I will say,
But he does not play center. He plays catcher.
Cal
Yes.
Raleigh does have the butt of a center, whether it's in the NFL or the NBA.
You got a big
Big
old
dumper.
Yeah.
Big butts matter.
You got a big old dumper on.
Now, this is what happens when you're reading your script.
Oh.
Your update script, and you put in, you have your usual abbreviations for positions and such. And so before Cal Raleigh, I just have a C.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, catcher, center, yeah.
All right.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
He just reads what's in there.
Yeah.
Your mind is ready for basketball and football.
Yeah, go
You don't
F
got
yourself,
time for-
San Diego.
You ain't got time for baseball.
I read what's on my script.
Baseball been
There we
very
go.
good to me.
We've got some baseball that we'll talk.
Sure.
We'll talk about.
Mhm.
We'll do it.
Yeah. Why not?
We'll talk about it. I got 3 pieces of fun with audio baseball edition today.
Oh, you mean you don't want to dive into the fact that ESPN covered cornhole instead of the baseball all-star team selection?
Nope.
Okay.
Don't want to do that. No.
I mean, let's face it. Do we really? I'd rather watch cornhole than ESPN breaking down the all-star reserves. But that's just me.
I watched one of the two.
And
You
I'm
know,
on the wrong one.
They did do an all-star game. They did an all-star reserve show. It actually went long because it went into the rain delay of the Cardinals game that was on.
Well,
They did an all-star. They did do it.
They didn't do it live.
Maybe they didn't have the rights to it because MLB wanted it live.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know. I don't know.
Everybody's
People were mad on the
everybody-
internet.
yeah,
No way. The internet
yeah.
got mad at something. I'm so surprised. So surprised. But I did flip. I remember because I flipped it on, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't care who got snubbed.
Yeah. I will say baseball all-star does the voting the best, though.
They do. They care. People. Well, the fans care, and I think that they do a good job filling out the roster. I mean, the fact that some teams have an all-star is a little bit sketchy to me.
Yeah, the lone all-star selection is always kind of sad, which
No.
you feel bad for Paul Skeens.
Well, that was the way that
Oh.
the Mariners kind of tried to skew that trade where they brought in Randy Wynn. All-star Randy Wynn.
It matters.
Spot the lie.
It's in the bio.
Like when the Astros were really, really bad, Jason Castro was their catcher. He was hitting like 202, and he was an all-star.
Why not?
And I was like, he should not be an all-star.
Also, can we not mention the
Nope.
Cubs and Cardinals series
Well,
one bit?
Is he not just a tremendous
haven't.
defensive catcher?
Not really.
No? Okay. Just checking.
Not really. I mean, he was like totally
Fine.
serviceable.
Yeah.
But they were so bad. They were like, yeah, he's the best player. And thank God Altuve came to life when they really were terrible. And they were like, all right, the short guy.
There you
He's
go.
cute.
Yeah, he's fun.
We'll throw him out there. Now everybody hates him. It's great.
Which is weird. You can't hate the little guy like that.
Oh yeah, people. That's part of our fun with audio.
Yeah.
That is part of our fun with audio. Is that we have announcer wars in baseball.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah,
Love that.
And then the Phillies brought John Kruk on their broadcast. Immediately, they regret bringing John Kruk on their broadcast again.
Look, I bring Crucky out whenever you want.
I love him,
Yes.
and he is on their broadcast. I think he's pretty regular.
Yeah.
But I say this. He's not foreign to their broadcast. He jumps in and out.
Yeah.
I think. But holy guacamole.
Not a lot of filter.
It's oh boy. It is
Not a lot of
this one
filter.
is out of left field, but it is like this is the most baseball thing you will ever see. So we got that to get to. We have the NBA's League New Year started.
Yes, and they are getting out of their 4th of July family time induced comas, and things are happening. Things are happening.
All right.
around the league. Not just official transactions, but more new transactions. And I think you're going to see a little bit of a domino effect over the next couple of days for sure.
Okay. Well, I hope we do. I hope we see the action. There hasn't been a lot of action. Not a lot of action.
There's just stuff holding things up.
All right. Oh. All right. Well, we'll get into all the deets on that one. I do want to take one quick second here to acknowledge a couple of things. That flood in Texas,
dude.
Golly, that was
the worst,
heartbreaking stuff to see.
The worst non-hurricane or tornado disaster in the country since I think 1875.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen the videos, I've mentioned this before, like the flash flood that I had in San Angelo. When they say flash flood, it's a matter of minutes. There's a video of a guy who was in an RV park, and thankfully somebody banged on their door and kind of let them know the water was coming up. They said in 20 minutes, the RV park was gone.
Yep.
Like whole families were washed down the river, and you could hear people screaming from their RVs and stuff like that. Like, it's terrifying stuff. Like, prayers out to everybody that's out there, because it is nasty. Like, whole families are missing.
Yeah. There's like a youth camp where you're seeing stories of like a camp counselor saved 14 kids. You had like a child on a mattress floating for 2 hours before she was saved. But in these tragedies, heroes do arise. Have you seen Coast Guard swimmer Scott Ruskin?
That's for those that are wondering, he's a pararescueman. These are the baddest dudes on the planet. These are the people they send in to rescue SEALs.
He on his own, saved 165 victims in the Texas floods.
He just kept going. Kept going. This dude is a monster.
This is his quote, and I hope this is true because it better be. Honestly, I'm mostly just a dude. I'm just doing a job. This is what I signed up for, and I think any single Coast Guard rescue swimmer or any single Coast Guard pilot, flight mechanic, whoever it may be, would have done the exact same thing in our situation. That's what we're asked to do, and we're going to do it. Any of us, if anyone else was on duty that day, they would have done the same thing as us. We just happen to be the crew that got the case. That's awesome.
That's what those guys are. So for those that don't know,
that's really cool.
Everybody knows BUDS, if you're familiar with the military, the SEAL qualification school. The pararescue school is, I believe, still the highest recidivism rate in the military. I mean, I think it's like
crazy.
88% of people who try out do not make it. It is
not a lot of people are strong enough swimmers like that.
It's not just that; it's the mental part of, like, the stuff that they do is just bonkers. But then you throw in like a lot of these guys are elite swimmers. Like, they were high school, college elite swimmers, on top of being absolutely unhinged as far as like the mental part of this. And it is. I had a buddy who went through it. I think the initial training's 18 months. He broke his back, came back from breaking his back, and ended up becoming a pararescue swimmer.
Dang.
Yeah, these guys are nuts, dude. They are absolutely nuts, and in the best possible way. They are some of the most dedicated humans on the face of the planet at what they do.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, that dude deserves every bit of credit that he's getting, and he's right that anybody else who would have been in that position would have tried to do the same.
Tried to.
Yeah, those guys, they like, those are the guys that go out in 20-foot plus swells after ships have capsized in the middle of the Arctic Ocean.
Yeah.
And go save guys. Like, these guys are bonkers in the best possible way.
Dang. All right. Cool, man. Big ups to that dude.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's awesome. All right, let's get this show on the road, shall we? Blazers had their fan base a little bit worried yesterday. Not their fault. In what dominoes does Danny speak of that may start to fall? Danny and Dusty on the Fan. NBA's new league year started up, and not the fireworks that we were expecting, but things really slowed down prior to the 4th of July in the holiday weekend. We had a small flurry of moves, and then things just basically became finalized yesterday. But one that did not was the Portland Trailblazers trade of Anthony Simons for Drew Holiday, and it turns out there was snags.
There was. I was told Saturday that there might be a little bit of a delay, but that it was Boston trying to get some order of operations stuff pushed away because they have to continue to do that trade.
They have
financially, they have to do it.
Got to get it done.
I was told that the Blazers, upon getting full access to the medicals, found something that, well, not serious, made them go, "Hey, man, we're not going to get those. We're not going to give you those seconds." And from what I've been told, medicals is always a dicey one as far as like getting information on it. Is that there is nothing serious there. There's nothing concerned as far as right now, as far as like any potential surgeries, that he's healthy, he's fine. He's in LA, he's chilling down there. He is from LA, so that's where he's going to spend his off season and just hang out down there. But the Blazers found a leverage point here and were able to pull those picks back out of the deal and do a straight swap Ant for Drew.
Oh, so you're telling me that the 35-year-old had some concerning things. I mean, yeah.
The way that I look at this is like the Lakers with Mark Williams. I wonder if this is going to open up some sort of negotiation point consistently for teams if they go, I don't know, man. Let me go ahead and let's revisit this as soon as we get the physicals and make sure that everything is A1, or if these are kind of one-off cases.
Yeah.
But the Blazers saw a leverage point here and decided to extract that back out of the deal.
Still a fair trade. I don't think the seconds were never anything that I was concerned about anyways. It was a non-factor.
I don't think seconds are that valuable as far as like things that you use for currency. It's just a trade chip that you use now. We've talked about where the second round is in the NBA now, and with the exception of guys like Kalkbrenner and Rasheer Fleming, the guys that are in the second round now aren't really guys that you take flyers on, because those guys are going back to college and getting anywhere from $1.5 to $3 million to go back to school. I think Boogie Flan got like $3 million to go to Florida. I mean, it's just like Yaxel Lendeberg, I think, got about the same to go to Michigan, transferring from UAB, and he was a guy who was going to be a first round pick. So the guys that you would take flyers on typically from like 35 through 45, somewhere in that range. That's where you kind of take the flyer range. You take that group of guys, and it's not just 10, it's more like 20 guys. If all of those guys are going back to school now the guys that are slotted 55 through 75 are in there, and you're like, well, that's not as fun. And so the value of second-round picks just isn't really there now. Yeah. So,
but that was you've said this quite often, though, that it's basically the second-round picks are now currency. Yeah. And that's what you use them as. Well, the Blazers get those back. What were they ever going to do without them?
Yeah.
And the deal finally goes through today.
It is official. The Blazers made the announcement, sent out the press release, put out the image on social, all those things. The transaction has been sent to the league and has been finalized, approved, and it's done.
You know what's hilarious to me is that like Drew Holiday wearing number 5 now, Blazer fans always need something to freak out about. What is Delano Banton going to do?
Yeah, it's like, well,
I don't know.
Guys, wink, wink, nod, nod. He's not coming back.
Go DB hoop somewhere else. I don't know.
Like I've been saying this for 2 months. Jabari and Delano aren't coming back.
All right. What other flurries of moves could we see coming down the pike then? If you said that and we went, oh.
It's not just as it pertains to the Blazers, it's league-wide. Over the weekend, there has been movement around Bradley Beal. Mark Stein, the Stein line, has been covering this very thoroughly. The Phoenix Suns have put Bradley Beal so far into a corner, made life so miserable that he's finally willing to accept a buyout.
I just can't believe he was totally okay with being backed into that corner. Just be like, no, I'm not going anywhere.
That's that no trade clause, man. It's why you get it in the contract.
Stupid. Who got a no trade clause over the weekend? I saw somebody got a no trade clause.
It's a de facto no trade clause because of the bird rights.
Who was it?
it's Jackson Hayes.
Yeah.
Because of
I was like, what?
Yeah, so it's not a league minimum deal. Like they went over they went to the 120% of his previous salary, which puts them like it takes away the BAE and gives him basically the ability to waive any trades for the first year.
All right.
So good luck with that Jackson Hayes stuff.
I think the most surprising thing that happened was the Kevin Durant deal, which we knew was happening. KD to Houston from Phoenix.
It went from
and
5
Phoenix
to
was
6 to
a
7.
team that needed to get under the second apron as well because they're not going anywhere. But the Rockets and Suns, we knew, but then more teams just started piling on this thing as more information came out. It is now the Rockets, Suns, Warriors, Hawks, Timberwolves, Lakers, and Brooklyn Nets.
Yep. 17 trade, the largest
Nets,
in NBA history.
Nets just got in there like, I guess we'll take 2 second-round picks.
The reason why this happens, and people shouldn't care about this because you shouldn't have to care about the CBA the way that you do, but with the NBA and how they've done things and what they've done to the CBA, the minutia that they've built into it, and it's like the tax code. It just keeps getting more and more convoluted every single year. But it's an order of operations thing, and how you move things around and what you like. And these guys everybody knows, the forward-facing folks for NBA teams, the general managers, presidents. All of these teams have salary cap guys, and these guys make a lot of money, and the best ones are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah,
because you can minimize any outside stressors, and you can maximize potential returns by the order of operations that you do things in, and that's really what you're seeing here. And how they're going to move money around, and if we do this to do this, do this, do this, do this, this, and this, then it'll put our books in this particular situation that we wouldn't be able to do if you didn't do this first. It's very dumb. It's very convoluted. It's very stupid. I hate that we have to do this, but that's what the CBA has done. They have made it this way. They've made it purposefully obtuse, so it's just very dumb.
Well, here's how it went down. They took draft day trades, kind of threw them in here too. Rockets get Kevin Durant and Clint Capella in this deal from Atlanta, Clint Capella. And then the Suns get Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks from Houston, Kaman Malawach and Rasheer Fleming draft day trades, Kobe Brea, Daquan Plowden's draft rights, and a second-round pick. A lot of cheap talent coming in, except for Jalen Green at 3 years, $105 million, and Dylan Brooks at $20 million per.
And part of the amendment to the deal there was a swap of 2 ways with Plowden and Roddy.
Okay. The Warriors get Alex Tui and Jemai Mashek. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll take your word that those are people.
Jemai was a guy that the Blazers brought in as part of their closed workout sessions.
Okay. Hawks get David Roddy's draft rights, second-round pick swap, and cash. Rocco Zakarski, he goes to the Timberwolves with 2 seconds and some moolah. And then the Lakers get Adu Thero, and the Nets get 2 second-round picks. It seems like that's like 4 different deals that were individually packaged that they just said, hey, let's just make it one. Is this the new CBA saying you can benefit cap-wise by making these into larger deals?
100%.
That now involve 23% of the NBA.
Yeah, and then you, again, the currency is like a second-round pick or swapping of 2-way or cash considerations. Like, you can do
I
these
thought they got rid of those.
No, they're still there.
Cash considerations.
No, you can still put cash in deals.
All right.
So, and yeah, it's not, and if you're Chicago or New Orleans or another couple other teams out there, they love their cash. Bad owner's going to bad owner.
Yeah, they really are. They really are.
Bill Simmons had his god-awful GM summit, and buddy, New Orleans, Chicago are sitting at the top of that perch right now. They are kings of their castles.
I don't get New Orleans. Like we talked about this on Thursday.
Yeah.
I do not understand.
Nobody does. Nobody understands what the hell they're doing.
And it really, we want it to hinge around the unprotected first-round pick.
It's not just
but
that
so many other
0 cents.
Well, yeah, some of the other things in there you go, yeah, but what are you going to do now?
Well, and on the other side of that, you've got the Toronto Raptors who have, like, everybody's like, oh, they'll be fine in the East. And I'm like, Will they? They've got Brandon Ingram for $40 million. They've got Scotty Barnes for $40 million. They've got Emmanuel Quickley for $32 million. They've got RJ Barrett for $25 million. They've got Jakob Pertl for $24 million. I'm like, they've got like A+, A- prices on dudes on a roster that don't make any freaking sense.
Are they going to be just as good as the Blazers, though?
In the East, yeah.
Because I saw something that I went, huh. With the new league year starting from Bet Online, we have the over-under win totals that have been released. The Blazers are expected to be 10 wins better than they were in the offseason last year. But
on that current line, I think I'm taking the over.
There are some question marks about where the Blazers stand. Let's get to that after Rust with SportsCenter.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, a trade this morning in the association. ESPN reporting the Clippers, Jazz, and Heat. They've agreed to a trade that sends Norman Powell to Miami, John Collins to Los Angeles, and Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson to Utah. The Jazz will also receive a 2027 first-round pick from the Clippers. I'm glad this isn't a sponsored update because I have no idea what you guys just said in my head. Anyway, I wasn't paying attention. I'm trying to find John Kruk drops. The deal sending Anthony Simons to the Celtics for Jrue Holiday now complete. And as they just said, it's now a straight-up player-for-player trade. Previously reported Portland would also send 2 second-round picks to Boston. The Mariners off today after finishing off a sweep of the Pirates. They hit the road for a 6-game trip to finish off the first half of the season. They start tomorrow in the Bronx against the Yankees. Mariners now second in the AL West, 7 games back of the Astros. And complete rosters have been announced for next week's All-Star game at Truist Park in Atlanta. Joining starting catcher Cal Raleigh from the Mariners, our outfielder Julio Rodriguez, and pitchers Andres Munoz and Brian Wu. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's window into 1080 The Fan.
All right, the far too early over-under win totals have been released. Go Vegas out there, trying to build more casinos and make money off y'all. It should be of no surprise, the defending world champion Oklahoma City Thunder, they have an over-under win total of 62.5.
Insane number.
That is 7 better than the Cleveland Cavaliers.
62.5 is an insane number.
Yeah.
Especially coming off a title, typically you go, okay, we did the thing where we won a lot of regular season games. It was great being number one. We need to pace ourselves. Like that's what every team does.
Well,
in those instances,
especially when the Rockets get Kevin Durant, and Clint Capella,
and the West just is
and
deeper.
They get Dorian Finney-Smith, who just signed with the Rockets today. Yeah, they're getting better, and you're not going to rely on injuries absolutely depleting the Denver Nuggets again. Well, actually, you just might want to start banking on that one to happen. But
or that they might lose a backup center.
They are the far and away leaders with 62.5. The Portland Trailblazers, the hometown team, they are 10 better than their preseason over-under win total a year ago. Last year, they opened at 22.5 wins. They finished with 36 wins on the dot. They didn't get a half win or a loss. But this year, the Blazers win total, they open at 32.5. 10 better than last year. That puts them sixth worst win total in the NBA. They're tied with Toronto, New Orleans, and Chicago, all at 32.5. The only teams that are worse are the Phoenix Suns, 31.5, Charlotte Hornets, 25.5, Brooklyn Nets, 21.5, the Washington Wizards at 19.5, and then the Utah Jazz at 18.5. Woof.
Yeah, they're looking at this as there are three, no doubt. These teams suck. Alliance like. The Jazz, they made a trade today that sent John Collins out. They sent out Colin Sexton. They sent out Jordan Clarkson. They are sending out anybody who has any viable production not named Lauri Markkanen or Walker Kessler.
Yeah. They took their depth that was like, they might sneak up and win some. Nope, not anymore. Not anymore.
And if you watched Ace Bailey play this weekend, you're sitting there going, yeah, they're going to be bad.
3 of 13.
Yeah.
And how much did that have to do with his agent's son not being on the bench?
We'll get to that. That's, but looking at this line, the only ones that I'm really arguing. Number one, if you're asking me, putting a gun to my head, if I'm going to take the over, the under, I'm taking the over on the Blazers at 32.5. I think they're probably closer to winning the same amount of games as they won last year. They just won't be god awful for the first 2.5-3 months of the season, and they won't have the same kind of holy crap tear that they went on. I think it would just be more balanced over the season.
Yeah, scoring still concerning.
But when you've got baseline defense, the Rockets couldn't score to save their lives. The Magic couldn't score to save their lives. Like if you were a team that's like teams are coming in, especially when you're playing at home, that you come into their house, they're just like, oh god, here we go.
Yeah,
like that usually juices the win totals a little bit. I'm surprised the Pelicans are here. To be honest, I definitely would have put them lower.
Yeah, and this was interesting to me is that you were talking to Bill Simmons has his GMs. What the hell are they doing? In Chicago and New Orleans were on that list, and then you mentioned Toronto. They're all in the same win total right on the dot as the Portland Trailblazers are right now.
And for the Pelicans, it makes a little bit of sense that where they're at because they're in the Western Conference and win totals are going to be depressed. If you're only winning 32.5 in that East, I mean, that's nasty. I mean, if you look at the West, the only teams that the Blazers are better than are the Jazz, and they're tied with the Suns and or the Jazz and the Suns, or the Jazz and the Suns, and then tied with the Pelicans.
Yeah,
I would put both the Pelicans and the Kings under the Blazers.
Yeah.
The Kings have talent, but it's talent that makes absolutely no sense.
Kings are at 38.5.
No way is that team coming close to 500.
Wow.
It's just the dysfunction and disorganization. Like right now, who's their point guard? DeMar? They're going to run point DeMar like he was in San Antonio? Okay.
Sure.
Like Sabonis has got to be sitting there going, what the hell is going on here? Like they're like the team that's pushing the hardest for Jonathan Kuminga. And when they're quote unquote pushing the hardest, they're not offering much.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that Kuminga's agency is putting out there of like, no, people are really interested. All of the folks that I've talked to have said that.
Dennis Schroeder, their point guard?
Is he starting, though? Because you've got Levine, you've got DeMar.
Malik Monk.
Monk's a guy that they're trying to ship out.
Well.
So, yeah, it's...
I don't know. They got guys who can score some points,
They
though.
They have talent, but its talent doesn't make any sense together at all. And in the West, it's like, ugh, I don't know, man. If you want to put the Blazers in the same line, you want to both say they're 35.5.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But I think that there's the Blazers are going to be going into the season as it stands right now, clearly better than Phoenix, Utah, Sacramento. If you want to put them on the same line, and New Orleans for sure. New Orleans. You want to talk about the Blazers not being able to score? New Orleans can't defend anyone. It was like, well, they got Trey and they've got Herb, and I'm just like, they have Zion and Derek Queen and a rookie point guard.
Yeah.
That is,
see ya,
buddy. Zion and Queen, you might as well just put 2 traffic cones at the top of the free throw line.
Olay defense there.
Oh my God.
Blazers will be very good defensively, but I think that 32.5 is wholly fixated on the Blazers don't have scorers.
No, 100%. I'm there with you. But I again, gun to my head, where last year I didn't think they were going to reach their win total because I was like, how is this going to work? This year, I'm more bullish on the over.
Without their best scorer and best big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds, because I think what they're doing is they're leaning into that. You know what this also shows? They're not in win now mode.
Sure does. The third worst over-under opening win total line in the Western Conference. Portland Trail Blazers tied with the New Orleans Pelicans for third worst. Suns 31.5. They think they'll be one game worse, and the Utah Jazz 18.5. That is very, very, very low. That is process 76ers low.
Yeah, no, it's
not quite that bad.
Look,
but
the Utah Jazz. For those that don't know, Danny Ainge, Ryan Smith have made a sizable donation to to BYU. AJ DeBonsa, who is right now considered to be either the second or third overall pick in the 2026 NBA draft, is going to BYU.
Hey, all right.
Just a total coincidence.
Well,
remember, they weren't tanking.
They weren't tanking.
Now they are tanking.
They're going to be bad. All right, well, with this said, the Blazers are at 32.5. This is probably a year where you don't want to win now, too, because of the draft class is pretty deep. It doesn't have a Cooper Flag, right? Not that generational talent, but really damn good players in the 26th draft. Are we looking at this team then maybe staying more idle the rest of the way this offseason, or are they going to try and get somebody who can score baskets?
That remains to be seen.
Man.
I was talking to a few national reporters at the Four Letter Network, and I was like, hey, things have been pretty quiet out here, and the transactions they've done have all been pretty quiet. Have you guys heard anything? And they all said some version of the same thing, like, not a peep. Everything they have done has been in silence. Like, not even from the teams that they have worked with, whether it was Boston on Giroux or with DA's agent Bill Duffy as part of the buyout. Like,
you know what? I like that.
They are. I mean, the Yong Hansen pick,
the draft.
No, like
any of it has been very quiet. Cloak and dagger.
Givany and Wu have been nails on Portland's picks for years, even before Schmitz. And then with Mike being there, obviously Givany has a very good relationship with Mike, and. Nothing, no one, not a soul, not a peep. No one saw that coming. So as far as that kind of stuff, like, I don't think the Blazers are in a hurry to move Jeremy Grant. I think that they're looking out at the market right now and assessing what guys are going for and what they're not going for, and they're not just going to do a deal just to do a deal.
Okay.
And this is why I've been trying to say that they are not in win now mode for anything.
Yeah. And again, they set their expectations that people glommed onto at the
I think Chauncey
misspoke,
season. Just like Joe did when he talked about building around Dame. I think that was this thing where, like, you're doing the thing where, like, puff your chest out. I got a new contract. You say all the things that you say when you get a new contract. Like, we're doing the right thing. And you pull that back a little bit.
Rein it in a little bit. Well, as of right now, it doesn't appear because nobody's hearing anything. And I like that. I think that is what smart front offices do is the less people that are in the loop, the better off you are.
Yeah, under Neil, it was out there.
With this, now you better capitalize on it soon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, if you're doing the DA buyout, you're doing the Drew trade, and you're drafting Young, you need make no bones about it. They need somebody who can shoot the damn ball. Like they need a shooter on this roster. And I know everyone and their mom who's a Blazers fan is like, what about Corey Kispert? Look, if they went and got Corey Kispert, like let's say the 2 second-round picks that they got back out of that deal from Giroux and the 2 second-round picks that they got in the other transaction, like you want to give up 3 second-round picks for Corey Kispert? With that buyout of DA, you have access to full MLE. You can send those picks, not send a player out, put Kispert right into it. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, and I think that where the concerning part is, if for fans, is you don't have a score now.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to be a down year this next year, then you're getting a high draft pick again.
In a draft that is loaded to the gills.
But that guy, we know with rookies, that guy will not be the bearer of a scoring load immediately.
Nope.
So how far away is this thing? Like, that's a legitimate question that I think Blazer fans have. And because you're going, all right, how many more years are we going to have to go through this? Because this is not a fan base that is used to losing, especially at this clip and at this level. And they've wanted so desperately to glom onto guys like, hey, Ant's going to turn the corner. He's going to do it. It's going to pop. And then they're trading him at 26 years old, right? Now it's like Shaedon Sharpe. He could do it. He might be the guy that pops. And they're going to glom onto that. If it doesn't happen this year, they're going to lose their damn patience. And that's where this is going to be
this is
an interesting part of the rebuild.
It's not make or break, but there's definitely some make or break to Shaedon and Scoot this year.
Yes, there absolutely is.
There's no, what about this and what about that? It's like, nope, it's contract time, guys. And I'll tell you right now, if Shaedon Sharpe and his agent are smart, they look to get something done ahead of time because the life of a restricted free agent right now is hell.
Not good, Bob.
Nobody, not Kuminga, nobody, not Cam Thomas, no one is getting paid.
All right, 503-864-6326. I want to get your guys' thoughts and feedback on this because, if not now, when? And where is your patience level with the organization? We will get to that, but I want to give time for the queue to load up here a little bit. You guys are already active in it, but we'll get to that at the top of the hour. Coming up next, I've got some Fun with Audio Baseball Edition and damn Mariners with the sweep. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
It's time for the Easy Play, brought to you by Home Z, making home improvement easy.
Out to left field, really driven back, and the Mariners have taken the lead on yet another Randy Arozarena home run.
Randy Arozarena goes yard for the 14th time this year. Aaron Goldsmith on the call for Root Sports. The only run in yesterday's 1-0 win over the Pirates. The CONCACAF Gold Cup final had more scoring than the Mariners-Pirates finale.
Yeah, well, you're going to get that with the Pirates no matter what's going on. I feel bad for Paul Skeens because he's got insane stats except for in his win-loss categories.
Yep. Rally had 2 dingers over the weekend. We'll get to that coming up next. This Easy Play brought to you by Homesy. Use Homesy's online calculator to estimate your project instantly. Make it easy. Call Homesy. That's HOMZE.com.
We just finished our roof and siding.
3-864-6326. That is the fan text line. How are you feeling with the Blazers offseason so far? Where they are heading? Get your texts in, or you can comment with all the rest of the party people on the YouTube chat. YouTube.com/1080am The Fan. We'll get to those coming up at the top of the hour. Wanted to get to some fun with baseball as the Mariners completed the sweep of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and yesterday was going to be the tough one. Paul Skeens on the mound for the Pirates, and it was like, oh boy, do the Mariners' bats have enough pop? Well, Cal Raleigh has been somebody that you can trust and rely on in those situations all year long, but as we played in the Holmesy report, that wasn't the case. It was Randy Arozarena who's been awesome for the Mariners lately.
Yeah, he's been absolutely raking over the last, 10 days?
And George Kirby was lights out on the hill, 6 1/3, 9 strikeouts for George Kirby. And he was just kind of rolling through it as he's had his ups and downs over the course of the year. But I think all eyes were on what Paul Skeens was able to do. 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 10 strikeouts, and a loss.
He's got a 1.9 ERA right now, and he's averaging well over 10 Ks per 9. Like, the dude is just an absolute demon.
Do you know who doesn't feel bad for him? Felix Hernandez.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know.
Paul Skeens has 1 win in his last 13 starts.
Oh, my God.
His ERA in that time is 1.72.
That's disgusting. He might be there's a very good argument that he's the best pitcher in baseball, and this is what he's getting.
Here's another one. Paul Skeens is 15-10 in 42 career starts. In wins, he has a 1.19 ERA.
Oh my God.
In not wins, so that's losses or no decisions, which is 27 games, he has an ERA of 2.39.
Which, I mean,
you
get a 2.39, like you can lead baseball with that. And that's in his losses.
Well, as of right now, that would put him in his losses and no decisions. Mm-hmm. That 2.39 would put him at 8th in Major League Baseball in earned run average.
Good God.
Okay.
So it's not like he's getting I think he's had 2 starts this year where he got beat up a little bit. Other than that, he has just been dominant in damn near every start.
If the Pittsburgh Pirates could have given him just 4 runs of support in each of his 42 starts, this according to Ryan Spader, he would be 28-1.
What's
Is that good?
What's the league average? What's the league average run scored right now? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I want to check this.
I don't know.
League average.
Pay no attention to a star.
All right, here I'll throw another stat at you. The Pittsburgh Pirates are coming off a series against the St. Louis Cardinals where they swept the Cardinals and outscored them 13-0 in their 3-game set.
4.26.
Okay, well, hold on. Just hold on. Jeez. 13-0, they beat the Cardinals in a 3-game set. They lost a 3-game set to the Mariners by a combined score of 8-0. They became the first team in Major League Baseball history, the history of the game, which goes back 150 years, to sweep a team without giving up a run and then to get swept without scoring a run. That has never happened in baseball before.
That's so nuts.
They are just the most head-scratching dumpster fire of an organization.
They make absolutely 0 sense.
Okay, 4.62.
Yeah,
Squirrel child.
4.26, which is almost the exact same as it was 10 years ago at 2015, which was 4.25.
Oh.
4.26 is average run scored.
So if they were
league average,
just below league average when Paul Skeens starts, he'd be 28-1.
That's how good he is.
This is Felix Hernandez-esque.
It's Felix on steroids.
Yeah.
And this is not me taking away from Felix. Felix was incredible.
Yeah.
But, Skeens is getting nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Huh. Let's see here. let's see. How many runs did the Mariners score when Felix Hernandez pitched?
Let's see. I'm going to take a look and see what Felix's career low ERA was. 2.14 and 2.27. Twice he led baseball.
Yeah.
Twice he led baseball.
All right. Wow.
Again, Skeens right now is at 1.94 on the season.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Seattle, this is a headline from ESPN, April 11th, 2016. Seattle Mariners Felix Hernandez is the unluckiest pitcher of all time.
Yeah.
Damn.
Just total offensive ineptitude. And
Yeah.
I don't want to see guys like Skeens go to the Dodgers and the Yankees and just go do that. I don't think it's good for baseball. But I want to see these freaking owners, the Pirates, the Reds, the Marlins, the Rays, the Rockies, the A's, load them all into a catapult and shoot them into the freaking sun. I am so done with them because your Astros taking the shortcut through hell, there was a point to it.
Yeah, there was.
This is just cheap, don't give a damn, stupid, ignorant, arrogant, frustrating owners that are ruining the game.
Yeah, that is true. Speaking of the Astros, they played the Dodgers this week, and they swept them. And on the 4th of July, the Astros beat the Dodgers 18-1, fueled by a 10-run sixth inning, which led Oral Hershiser of the Spectrum Sports Network to have this analysis.
Pages on the run will turn and watch this one wedge itself in the bottom of the wall, and Cam Smith flying into second, anchoring there with another extra base hit for the Astros. Double homer double to open third against Kasperius.
I don't want to open an old wound, but in some ways they're swinging at these breaking balls like they know what it's coming.
Huh? Well, as the series went on, and the Astros won Friday, they won Saturday. Yesterday, Jose Altuve went yard, and Robert Ford of the Space City network, he had this to say.
Pitch on the way. And Altuve hits it in the air to deep left field. It sends back Conforto at the wall. He leaps. See you later! Jose Altuve goes deep for the third time in the series, and the Astros lead is 5-1. Boo louder.
We got announcer wars now.
I love it.
We got announcer wars. Let's go.
As long as it doesn't cross any lines, have fun with it, man. Later on today, we'll talk about the best rivalries in college football.
Boo louder.
I've said this for years. Make hatred a thing again. I want hatred in sports. I want it back so bad. Sports matter more.
Yeah.
When there's hatred, when there's animosity, I don't want to see Shohei take 100-mile-an-hour fastball to the back.
No, I don't.
That I don't want to see. But
or on the hands.
You
don't
know,
want to see it on the hands.
Look, you hit him in the rump with the off speed and call it good. That's as far as I ever want to see that stuff go, especially with a guy like that.
Can we get Danny on an NBA broadcast with Eddie Johnson?
Ooh, yeah, buddy. We've had that talk too. Eddie and I have been face to face a couple times since I had that moment. So I let him know.
Tell you what, I'm gonna guess.
It's not all love, but
Danny, I love you. I'm gonna go.
It was all respect.
I'm gonna go with it was not face to face. It was probably face to chest because he's a little taller.
He's a tall man. Yeah. He's a tall man. But yeah, no, I look. Barry, who covers the Miami Heat, I basically stuffed him in a verbal locker over his BS too. I if I'm going to say something on social media, I'm going to stand by it. It is what it is. But yeah, no, I was on a lot of drugs and I acted out of pocket and said something publicly that I regret saying it publicly because I don't think we should do that to each other. But you did. It's how I feel.
Speaking of being out of pocket, John Kruk was on the Phillies broadcast and whoa, Nelly. You're going to have to pump up this audio, but John Kruk always being John Kruk.
Schwarber was asking about hitting off lefties that throw hard. Forget who told him this, but he said the only way you can go up there is you got to be prepared to die.
Yeah, that's where it all changed for him.
Sell out.
His success against lefties.
Yep.
Somebody gave him that advice.
Got to be prepared to die. Wow. Not that we condone death on the baseball
Right.
field.
Of course not.
Good figure of speech.
Yeah. Just an analogy.
Yep. 2 balls and 1 strike.
You know what the first 4 letters of analogy are, though?
Whoa, John!
Oh, you shouldn't have said that.
I'm going to get in trouble. I was just coming off my suspension. I'm kidding. 2-1.
Yeah, they sent you to Korea.
Yeah, they sent me to Korea.
It's a family show.
I love Kruk, man. You know when Kruk is the best?
That is just so good.
You know when he's the best is when they have when Votto would get mic'd up in games.
Mm-hmm.
Kruk has always been awesome on the back and forth with the baseball lifers, because that's what Kruk is. Kruk's a baseball lifer, man, and that's what I love about the sports that give a damn about their broadcasts. Is that there are guys that care about the game and all the stuff that comes with it, but they don't. It's not serious. Like it's he talks about what you got to be willing to die, but in the same talk he's like, guys, obviously I'm kidding. I mean, not die. It's a figure of speech, but it's like
we don't condone death.
It's fun.
But...
It's fun. Like that's again like those are the things.
We don't condone death on the baseball field.
Yeah, exactly. On the baseball field, we're out on that. This is the moral of the story. There is that do not leave enough dead air for John Kruk to say, do you know what the first 4 letters of analogy are?
Look, and
just don't do it.
I spent the better part of this first hour looking for a quote from John Kruk that I believed I heard from Letterman where he said, "I'm not an athlete, I play baseball." Couldn't find it, but it did lead me down a YouTube wormhole of fantastic John Kruk moments. So just for all of you out there, if you have a few minutes to spare, just go to hit the YouTube and Google some John Kruk and you'll get a chuckle.
All right, hour number 2, we start with your feedback. It's been coming in hot and heavy. Where are you at with the Blazers and their rebuild? Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. A Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, a trade this morning in the NBA. ESPN reporting the Clippers, Jazz, and Heat. They've agreed to a trade that sends Norman Powell to Miami, John Collins to Los Angeles, and Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson to Utah. The Jazz will also receive a 2027 second-round pick from the Clippers. The deal sending Anthony Simons to the Celtics for Drew Holiday now complete, and it is a straight-up player-for-player trade. It was previously reported Portland would also send 2 second-round picks to Boston. Over on the diamond, the Mariners, they're off today after finishing off a sweep of the Pirates over the weekend. They hit the road for a 6-game trip to finish off the first half of the season. It starts tomorrow in the Bronx against the Yankees. Mariners are second in the AL West, 7 games back of the Astros. And complete rosters have been announced for next week's All-Star Game at Truist Park in Atlanta. Joining starting catcher Cal Raleigh from the Mariners, outfielder Julio Rodriguez, and pitchers Andres Munoz and Brian Wu. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. Danny and Dusty.
All right, my rock smashes your scissors. Oh, no, not these scissors, pal. This is a special titanium steel alloy developed by NASA for the space program. These scissors that smash your rock to smithereens. No, not this rack. This rock happens to be kryptonite.
With the latest on the Blazers, Ducks, Beavers, and the hottest topics in sports.
Hey, what's happening, Norm?
It's a dog-eat-dog world, Sammy, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
No!
The Fan.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty on this Monday afternoon. Thanks for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours. 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app. Twitch.tv/1080am The Fan. And the party people on the YouTube stream, youtube.com/1080am The Fan. Party on, party people. Let's get it. All right, we were having these conversations earlier in the show, and I wanted to get back to them. Where are fans at with the rebuild right now? The Drew Holiday trade, it was slower to process than fans were hoping for it. That was not the Blazers' problem. We talked about that in hour number 1. That was Boston getting their ducks in a row first, and the Blazers leveraging them to say, yeah, we don't want to throw those second-round picks in anymore. And the Celtics said, fine, won't.
Because they have to do the transaction.
Have them back. Take Drew Holiday.
If anything,
we'll take Ant.
I think it's actually a good bit of business by the Blazers in the sense of like, you know what? No.
But where are the Blazers at it's 0 dark 30 there with Blazer with Blazer information. Nobody, national, local, nothing is getting out, whether it's the draft process. Well, hell, you could go to the contract extensions that were held out or given out, to the sale of the team, to the draft pick, to what is going on with Anthony Simons getting traded, a guy that they were pretty adamant, we're not trading Ant.
Look, the reason I said I would be shocked that if they traded him than if they extended him, because everything that I heard from both parties was that was the case.
DeAndre Ayton getting bought out instead of traded
came out of nowhere.
And the one guy who is still on the roster is Jeremy Grant. And we've been talking about Jeremy Grant getting traded for 3 years now. And he's never played in the month of April as a Portland Trailblazer. Okay. So, where are you at with the Blazers rebuild in this process? Comments. We got a few on the YouTube stream. Where are we at with that Jeremy Grant? Is he not going to be moved then? What's going to happen there?
I still think it's more likely that he's moved before the beginning of the season than not. But I also will caveat that with transactions are always more unlikely than likely in general. But I think that is something that will happen. But I think they're just taking their time and patience. Everybody wants deals to be done now. Just there's no reason to do anything right now, right this second. And I think what's not only holding up Jeremy Grant is teams are still canvassing. And that has a lot to do with the RFA process, restricted free agent process, whether it's Cam Thomas, whether it's Josh Giddey, whether it's Jonathan Kuminga. Obviously, we had a trade this morning we haven't even talked about yet. Like, John Collins gets sent to the Clippers, Norman Powell to the Heat. The Utah Jazz said, all right, thank you, see you later, bye. And they've been trying to move Collins for a while in the sense of and they had opportunities. Like, I know of multiple offers over the last 2 years that they could have moved John Collins, but they just said, nah, we're good. We're not in any hurry. We're not in any rush. And now they decided we're going to get out of everything because we want to be bad.
See, but that kind of seems like what Portland is doing with Anthony Simons, DeAndre Ayton being bought out. And then this one is the one where you're not going to hold on. You're not going to get off of that contract. And if culture is kind of the moves that you've been making and wanted to change, this is not the best way to change your culture is by keeping a guy on the roster who doesn't want to be here.
And look, JG's never going to ruffle any feathers. He's going to show up and be a pro no matter what. If he wants to be here, doesn't want to be here, whatever it is, he's going to be fine in that regard. Yeah. But I also tend to believe that there is probably something coming, and not anything immediate, anything along those lines. I think it'll be in the next couple of weeks if they do something. So, but I think you're going to have to see the RFA process play out first, because how that shakes out and where those things go. As we talked about in the first hour, Bradley Beal is a guy who, if he gets bought out, he's going to be a domino that leads to, is he going to end up in LA? Is he going to end up in Milwaukee? Yeah. So those kind of things have to settle themselves out before teams look at, okay, here's where the board lays. Now what do we do? Because of how things are going to, again, I hate using this phrase, but order of operations.
Okay. Here's a text. Portland is a rudderless ship with zero direction. Last season, generational draft prospects. Portland decides to play heavy minutes for vets, get crummy draft pick, dump vets. Why not do this all a year ago? Those aren't my words. Those are that's the texter's words.
Sure,
I think we
can rehash the same thing I've said for 18 months.
We can sum it up for going forward after the All-Star break.
Yeah,
I don't.
They won a bunch of games before. They won a bunch of games before the All-Star break, and they put themselves in a position, and they decided that and the whole playing the vets thing, Jeremy and Da didn't play.
No, they didn't play the back half of the year.
You had Denny Avdia, the guy they just traded for, who's under the age of 25. Tumani Kamara was an absolute what they didn't play the vets. It was mostly the young guys.
Ant played.
He's 25.
Yeah. Well, but he's been in the league for
sure.
a long
But
time.
This whole idea of they leaned heavy into the old guys. No, they didn't lean heavy into the old guys.
They don't have many on the team.
No.
They have even less now. But the getting off of contracts, this has been the thing of you're not going to trade somebody for nothing, even though the Anthony Simons was an asset that they coveted. Mm-hmm. And if you covet an asset that much, they felt they got equal return. I think it is a fair trade if you're trying to win. Now that it appears you're not.
Again,
but we don't know they're done yet.
That trade, when it came through, the first thing I said, this is not a win-now trade. This is about culture, tone, style, and what they want to do as a basketball team. Mm-hmm. And they were missing that dude in the locker room who is a dyed-in-the-wool leader.
Yeah. Here's an interesting thought on the YouTube chat. Is it wise to shop Shane Sharp now?
I think everything's on the table with anyone. I've said this repeatedly. There are two guys on this roster you are not shopping. Tumani Kamara and Denny Avdia. Mm-hmm. Everybody else, show it.
Yeah.
Prove it.
And then there was somebody who said, hey, look at Shea's numbers without Ant. He could bear more of that scoring load. Is that true?
Yeah. So if you look at Shaden's most played lineups, which number one is the Scoot, Shea, 2, Denny, Klingon lineup. Mm-hmm. If you take Ant out of this, that lineup was in the first percentile in effective field goal percentage.
That's not good.
Basically the worst in the NBA.
Big numbers good.
99 percentile, awesome. First percentile, dog water. Okay. That is a major. Look, Shea has otherworldly talent at getting to the rim and finishing. Like, he is an elite finisher. And I'm not even talking about his dunks, his ability to kind of slither and get to the rim and lay it up. Mm-hmm. I think he finished somewhere at 72 or 74% at the rim. He was incredible. Here's the thing. If you look at, if you go to cleaningtheglass.com, Ben Falk's website that filters out all the garbage time. The Blazers as a team, if you go by effective field goal percentage by location, were the most analytically driven team in the NBA. They either shot at the rim or they took threes, and they took both a lot. The problem was they weren't a great rim finishing team, and they weren't a great three-point shooting team. Mm-hmm. That, I think, bothered Ant, Jeremy, and Shaden the most. Because Jeremy likes to get in that mid post to kind of get comfortable. He's not just a stand in the corner, shoot guy. I mean, bluntly, Jeremy told me this. It frustrated him at the beginning of the season. It frustrated Ant. And Shaden's another guy. Look, I want him taking mid-range pull-ups. Like, for most guys in the NBA, that is a non-starter. It's not a shot I want people taking. Most guys just aren't good at it.
Yeah.
Shaden is good at it. He's an above-average mid-range shooter, and when he gets to his spots because you're worried, you're backpedaling, you're worried about him getting to the rim, all of a sudden he's walking into a wide-open 12-footer, and he hits that shot. Shaden Sharp off the bounce from the three-point line, he's one of the worst volume three-point off-the-dribble shooters in the entire league.
That's not good. I agree with this text. I feel like more than anything, Cronin is methodically building this team. There is a direction he's building in. There's a plan, which is more than I can say for the O'Shea era. Neil O'Shea, he fell into
Damian Lillard,
Dame, and CJ.
No, look, I will give him. Look, I have my issues with Neil, a lot of them. I will give Neil his credit. CJ was his guy, and if you take Giannis out of that draft, you can make a real argument that CJ is the second or third best player in that draft.
I have concepts of a plan.
But at the same
beyond
time, he loved him and coveted him far too much to realize it wasn't working and it went too far. But I do agree that Cronin is methodically building this team.
They are slow playing the living bejesus out of it.
And that's the frustrating part for fans. And that is a frustrating part, is that they are establishing identity, and it may have taken longer than folks would want it to take. But the identity is now they're going to be defensive minded.
Bigger, longer, stronger, athletic, and defensively built.
They're going to be big, 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 big everywhere they're going to be at. It's not going to be a three-point oriented offense. And that is a big change. It's a drastic change.
I mean, the team that Dame had, you had shooters everywhere.
Remember Hassan Whiteside?
We got shooters. And he wasn't wrong. I mean, they had shooting. Like, you had at one point in time, you had Dame, CJ, Ant, Norm. All four of those guys could shoot the living hell out of the ball.
But there's two things that happened. Blazer fans not about that life of a rebuild, and that's the way it is. But there's also the other part of this that, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, and we don't need to rehash it, but they got over their skis with some of the things that they said at the end of the year about them wanting to go for it now.
I 100% look, actions over words. And their actions is a slow play. And look, I have said this over and over again. Stylistically, what they are trying to build is the bigger, longer, stronger. It's the complete antithesis of the Neil O'Shea era. They're trying to play fast. They're trying to play in the open court so they don't have to get stuck in the half court. They're trying to be big, defensively impactful. And that gives you a floor to me in general. And this isn't me like drinking the Blazers Kool-Aid. I'm just talking about defense in general. If you were a top 5 defense in the NBA, night in, night out, you have a better chance of being just a top 5 offense that's god-awful defensively.
Yeah.
It's just how it works. Despite offense being this overwhelming thing, if you make teams work during 82 games, you're going to come out on top more often than you think just because you're that good defensively.
And to answer this person on the YouTube chat, money aside in Oregon taxes, what do you think would make Portland more attractive for drawing players here? The answer to that question is a transcendent star who is young. That's it. Full stop. Giannis in Milwaukee.
Wemby in San Antonio.
Yeah, well, and then
but
before
the taxes,
the Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
But
you get that
a
guy.
transcendent talent, and all of a sudden, all of these moves look like they're the smartest moves anybody ever made.
People wanted to go play with Braun in Cleveland.
But you have to have that transcendent
You have
talent.
to have the dude. That's what it comes
And
down
they don't.
to.
They don't. They're pretty far away from that right now. All right, 503-864-6326. That is the fan text line. We have a lot of football stuff that we should get to at some point, but I want to get to this one because this is bizarro world. When is it too much? Because it feels like one franchise went too far. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. When the NBA has to step in and say, all right, guys, yeah, you need to cool it, I think you may have a problem. And the Utah Jazz have that problem. It was revealed that Ace Bailey's non-agent
handler,
Omar Cooper, had an agreement with the Utah Jazz to have Omar Cooper Jr., for those following at home, that would be his son.
His other son, because his older son, Sharif Cooper, was in the NBA and couldn't stick because he was a head case.
Well, Omar Cooper Jr. is trying to cut his teeth as a coach now.
Former college basketball player.
And the Jazz were like, all right, he can be a non-paid assistant coach for Summer League.
And for those that are wondering, this does happen.
It does happen.
Like having guest coaches like if you ever look at Summer League coaching staffs and you're wondering, like, why are there 27 people on the sideline?
Yeah.
Because of this.
Well, the NBA came in and stepped in, according to the reports that are out there, and said, yeah, you guys should not do this. And the Jazz went, yeah, you're probably right. And they rescinded the offer for Omar Cooper Jr. to be on staff because the Jazz framed it as, we wanted Ace Bailey to feel as comfortable as he possibly could.
Oh, no. Hey, Omar, sorry, we can't do this, bro. Sorry. League's like, no. I can just imagine Danny sitting there. Like Austin Ainge is sitting there. For those that are wondering, Austin Ainge is now the GM. Danny is still there, but Austin is the official voice of power. But I can imagine Danny texting Adam Silver like, hey, can you make a phone call?
Yeah, I see Austin on the phone with Omar Cooper and Danny on the phone with Adam Silver saying, yeah, whatever's about to happen, you just say no.
No, we're not going to allow this. We're not. Look, if you just go to Twitter and just search in the search bar Omar Cooper.
Yep.
And look at the video that he posted when Ace got drafted by the Jazz. He thinks he's Suge Knight.
Ew.
It is one of the cringiest things I've ever seen.
Is he dangling Vanilla Ice off of a hotel balcony?
No,
by his ankles?
He's doing like the mean mug, rub his face, like not saying anything, just.
Oh, really?
Oh, dude. Yeah, I'll pull it up during the break. It is
cringy.
The second I saw it, I went, nope, hard pass. Nope. Not going to be around my organization.
Why would the NBA nix this, though?
Because it's a problem. It's a problem. Like, it just is. Flat out. This is hangers-on being and this has nothing to do with Omar Cooper Jr. This has everything to do with Dad.
Yeah, but
who's, again, not a certified agent.
I think that may be it right there, is that they don't want a guy who is a non-certified agent essentially acting as an agent would in every step of the process for Ace Bailey, stepping in and having this kind of power to leverage a coaching position. And again, like you said, this isn't anything to Omar Cooper Jr., who does want to be a coach and was actually, I think he's on staff at a college somewhere. Or was going to start this season as an assistant coach on a staff. But the NBA saying, look, this is the bridge that goes too far.
It's the LeVar Ball of it all. It's like, no, dog, no.
Yeah.
No, we don't. Look, and
but they didn't step in when the Big Baller brand came in, and shoes have to be approved by the league. Big Baller brand shoes were approved by the league and may have cost his oldest son,
Lonzo,
his career.
Yeah, but not a great relationship, and there might be lawsuits pending as far as damage to his feet. So, yeah, and I think that's learning as far as the league is concerned. And look, the nepotism and the influence and favors, buddy, it is a mess in the NBA.
Well, just look at they do this all the time though with. The Good Old Boys Network gets somebody's kid on a bench somewhere.
The Colangelo family.
And sometimes it works out really well. Like David Adelman is now the head coach of the Denver Nuggets. He was coaching high school basketball in Portland.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the Silas family. I mean,
but he's a good coach, and sometimes these work. Sometimes they work. Bickerstaff.
You want to talk about one that didn't, and it's the Phoenix Suns. Mark Bartelstein is Bradley Beal's agent. Got him that no trade clause. Bartelstein's son works for the Suns.
Well, this ain't no good.
Yeah. So, there's this stuff happens everywhere. the Colangelo stuff in the process Sixers and everything that came out of that. Remember his wife getting on there talking about his collars not being that big. They're totally normal size collars on his shirt. Like, it's just this kind of stuff is stupid, but normally it's kept a lot tighter and a lot quieter, and there's not as much noise around it. And the NBA does not like it when there's noise around it publicly because Ace Bailey's camp handled this so god-awfully.
Yeah, but we see that all the time, too, with young stars, and teams will bend over backwards to make sure that they do feel comfortable. And that's not out of the ordinary.
Pretty normal.
I mean, hell, LeBron James left the Miami Heat because of cookies on the plane and his entourage, right?
Yeah, but also Rich Paul, like the league, like they tried to make, there's a rule in place now. You have to have a bachelor's degree with finance, law, or something else. Business, I think it is. I think those are the three in order to be a certified agent. That was a shot across the bow at Rich Paul. And Rich Paul got his degree and said, bet, here I am.
Done.
So this is not the first time. It won't be the last time this kind of thing happens. But yeah, like you have these hangers on and like the entourages. Like we are at the point now where if you're under the age of 25, you probably have your own personal trainer and they probably fly with you. Your skills trainer, your development guy. You've got your quasi agent / handler. Like there's a very big difference between a guy like Dame who came in 10 plus years ago and has got somebody at a respected agency with the good wins, but he has Nate Jones who works as his business partner. But these are guys that have cut their teeth doing it for years.
Yeah.
They're well respected. Like it's understood what relationships are and all those kind of things. There's boundaries that are acknowledged, right? A lot of these young guys, man, the EYBL, Adidas, AAU circuit guys, they latch on to these kids early and they see it as a meal ticket and it becomes a problem.
Yep. That and the amount of games they play is a massive problem. Well, Ace Bailey in his first Summer League game played 24 minutes and 47 seconds, shot 3 of 13 from the field. That'd be 23%. Went 1 for 5 from beyond the arc and finished the game with 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. No turnovers in the game.
The question, look,
he was a minus 12.
Don't take Summer League without a lot of grains of salt, but you want your guy to go out there and look more like VJ Edgecombe than look like Ace Bailey. Yes. Edgecombe went out there; he's 1 of 7 from 3, but he got to the rim and got to his spots in the NBA space, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be pretty okay.
Yeah, he went 12 of 20 from his other shots from the field. He may have gone 1 of 7 from 3, but he went 12 of 20 everywhere else.
Yeah, and he's jitterbug fast, incredibly athletic. He can get to wherever. Like he's the kind of guy that you probably only see play a couple of games at Summer League. He's going to graduate out of it very quickly.
He led the team in rebounds.
Yeah, with 10.
Yeah,
at 6'4",
and had 2 blocks.
Yeah, no, he's a demon. He's going to be so fun.
Good for them.
I hate that he's in Philly.
Okay.
But
bad for them.
Yeah. All right, coming up next, time for our worst day on the web. And let me tell you, man, you kids just out there inventing all kinds of things. Just congratulations to you. We'll get to that next. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Big's Chicken. Check out their smoked and fried wings, tossed with a perfect dry rub and served with a trio of killer sauces. Menus at bigschicken.com. First on The Fan, a trade this morning in the association. ESPN reporting the Clippers, Jazz, and Heat. They've agreed to a trade that sends Norman Powell to Miami, John Collins to Los Angeles, and Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson to Utah. The Jazz will also receive a 2027 second-round pick from the Clippers. The deal sending Anthony Simons to the Celtics for Drew Holiday now complete. It is a straight-up player-for-player trade. Previously reported, Portland would also send 2 second-round picks to Boston, but that changed once the medicals came in. The Mariners off today after finishing off a sweep of the Pirates. They hit the road for a 6-game trip to finish off the first half of the season. That starts tomorrow in the Bronx against the Yankees. Mariners now, still second in the American League West, 7 games back of the Astros, and complete rosters have been announced for next week's All-Star Game at Truist Park in Atlanta. Joining starting catcher Cal Raleigh from the Mariners, outfielder Julio Rodriguez, and pitchers Andres Munoz and Brian Wu. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new black 1080 The Fan hoodie, as well as classic long and short sleeve tees. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com.
Time is ticking away. Don't let another minute pass. Plan your retirement now with Trajan Wealth for the future you deserve. Call Trajan today at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
It's the Great Notion Brewing pregame.
Hey, what it do?
Where you get previews of your favorite fan shows.
Try to tell you it's a little weird down there.
Great Notion Brewing. Keep beer fun. Look for Ripe, North Left, Easy Lift, and Blueberry Muffin wherever you buy craft beer.
Yes!
Find out what's on tap with the Great Notion Brewing pregame on 1080.
The wonderful philanthropic world, they're changing things. What did you just say? I don't know.
It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
That sucks.
You know, when I was a kid, I remember coming home from elementary school, and I had heard this song that was so awesome. It was Run DMC and Aerosmith.
Hell yeah, brother.
And I told my mom,
Walk this way, dude.
Have you heard about this new band called Aerosmith?
Oh.
Keep in mind, I was raised in
We've all been
a
there.
rock household. I was raised on Led Zeppelin. Aerosmith was not their jam. Oh, there you go. It really is a banger. It is an absolute all-timer. But that was my first instance of thinking I discovered something new.
Mm-hmm.
This one might surpass anything I've ever seen.
Oh, no. I think we've all had those moments that you're talking about where you're like, do you guys know this? And they're like, yeah. I know.
The one that I have in my adult life is probably 10 years ago.
We walked on the moon.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I had never had jicama before. And I was looking at the menu, and I'd never seen it in a salad or anything like that. And I'm like, what the hell is jicama?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I was just like, and everybody at the table looked at me because, you know, I'm well-traveled. I've been a million places. And had a million.
Isn't that what happens when your diaphragm spasms?
Yeah, pretty close. But everybody at the table was like, are you dumb? Yeah. And I was like, yes, but also, no, I've never heard of that before. Like,
should put these in some fajitas.
Yeah,
they'd
100%.
be great.
This is an article in the headline.
Being in high school or in grade school, and they're like, "Hey, find Arkansas on the map," and I'm like, "All I can see is Arkansas."
Yeah, see, there you go.
That'll get you. What is a micro-retirement inside the latest Gen Z trend?
This is an actual article written by a human being who might be just as dumb if they're putting this pen to paper.
Here's the excerpt. Joshua Charles is a Gen Z business owner. His consultancy helps institutional investors, pension funds, and insurance companies invest in projects in Africa. Okay, that's kind of cool.
That's
you know, burgeoning market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all right. I like that. Charles currently takes work breaks every 6 months for 2 weeks at a time and said he heard about micro-retirements from a friend. 2 week trip every 6 months. Okay. I reward myself by traveling to different countries, whether it's Europe during the summer or other destinations. And so that's a way that I incentivize myself to reach certain KPIs.
Yeah, so he invented vacations.
Yeah.
Micro retirements. That's what we're calling vacation now.
So,
look, first, before we go too much further into here, I also have to throw a certain morning co-host under the bus, Brandon Sprague, for calling going on a walk. He calls it urban hiking. Urban hiking. I'm like, no, you're going for a walk. You're going on a walk.
Where would it actually be urban hiking? Like if you're at Vail?
No.
Or you're up at what's the
well, I mean, it had to be if it was urban, it has to be somewhere within the city, I guess.
Urban hiking could be like starting on 23rd and working your way up into Forest Park.
You go for a walk.
No, I'm with you, Russ. I'm trying to find the very narrow section where you could actually call it that.
I think that's it. I think in Portland you can start on 23rd and you can walk like across and up Burnside, and you can get to Forest Park where you're walking like through like businesses, and then you get to a neighborhood, and then you're boom in the forest.
You're still going.
That's an urban hike.
You're still just going for a walk.
That is going for a hike. That's like urban kayaking in Jackass when they went out in front of the Keller Auditorium.
Yeah,
and they went down
like
the fountains.
The shopping carts.
No, in a kayak.
Okay,
yeah.
In a kayak, that they went.
Of which that is urban kayaking.
Sure.
That one, I'll give that one.
Sure is. This just rings of Billy Madison, where they give the answer. No.
We're now dumber.
We are all now dumber.
We are all dumber for having had to hear that. The idea that they're like, you know what? But this is the ultimate, like, so his own consultancy company where they're trying to convince people that what they do is different.
Yeah.
Joshua Charles sounds like a grade A douche
canoe
urban kayaker. Yeah. That's what it sounds like right there. Because he's just like, micro retirement. It's totally different. No, it's not.
No,
it's a
not.
Vacation.
It's like the tiny house people.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, but the thing is, that is actually a tiny house.
And that is different.
And so
it's different than a mobile home.
Is
it? Yeah, it is. It is.
It's just smaller.
Yeah, it's tiny.
But it's still the same thing.
I guess really it's not terribly different than a mobile home.
You live in your car.
It's smaller.
It's
they
smaller.
are smaller.
Yeah, but you live in your car.
It is smaller, and they are usually like I won't say like on a foundation, but they are, like placed in a spot.
Well,
like most mobile homes aren't actually mobile, because once you get to that point, you're talking about like a trailer on wheels.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm talking about the people that put the tiny homes in the back of cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just like no, dude.
So we're not talking like ADUs.
And that's a camper.
Yeah, it's like that's
a camper.
That's not.
Yeah.
That's.
Well, we have somebody who says if you walk any longer than 4 miles, it's a hike. Dude, I've hiked in Vegas.
False.
Quite often.
Yeah. I will say false.
Hike at Disneyland.
I'm going to go false right off the bat.
7 miles seems more like a hike.
Because I'm a fat man. I have kids, and when my second kid was young, I would take her out on walks, and I did like 6 and 7 mile walks around the greater Bethany Rock Creek area. But you know what? I didn't say I went on a hike.
Do we consider it a hike if your shoes have toes on them? Like the individual toes.
Oh,
now
yeah.
we're just getting dumb.
No,
do we
all right,
consider it a hike if you have a
those.
handlebar mustache and a flannel shirt?
All right, here we go. Definition of a hike: a long walk, especially in the country or wilderness.
Okay. Look,
not urban.
There are some shorter hikes that you can do. Like Silver Falls is like 6 miles. The forest that got all burned down. There's a bunch of trails in there that are under 10 miles.
Yeah,
like,
look,
those are still hikes.
If
but
you're
out in the
going
wilderness.
somewhere that starts off with a sign that says trailhead, sure, that's a hike.
A hike is a long, vigorous walk. Ooh, vigorous.
Well, I like vigorous.
Usually on trails or footpaths in the countryside.
There you go. The countryside being the key indicator. Look,
Again, so
like every definition that I have read here,
hike. You're going for a walk,
or a sharp increase, especially in price.
There you go. I in my previous life before media, I worked as a business analyst, and I would take contracts anywhere from 10 months to 18 months. And when I get done with them, I'd take a month off and I would travel.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing that they're talking about.
Well, you took a micro-retirement, sir.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I would go travel and I would have other contracts lined up for when I came back.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand this.
Boy.
This is all so very dumb.
Guys, Russ, this is going to trigger you really quick. I'm still on urban hiking.
Okay. Yeah. Bring it on.
This seems uniquely Portland.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
shocking.
Come on.
Yeah. An urban hike is a hike that takes place within a city of utilizing streets, parks, and other urban features as a trail. It combines the physical activity of hiking with the exploration of city environments, offering a unique way to experience the city's culture and scenery. In Portland, Oregon, there are numerous opportunities for urban hikes, including Forest Park, Washington Park, and the Willamette River.
It's a walk through the city. I've never walked.
Kind of feels like Portland is the hub of urban hiking, and there's even a website that has maps of urban hiking.
Now,
lists.
look, if somebody really wanted to get like super abstinent about this,
and there will be,
you could say that perhaps you could make more of an argument for urban hiking in like the inner Seattle area than here because you got some more hills and stuff. Outside of that, it's still all just BS.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and stop you right there because if Portland can have a leg up on Seattle, I'll take it. So... No.
Well, you know what our leg up is on Seattle? They get more rain than we do every year.
Yeah, that's damn
But
right.
we're the ones that get the crap for it.
Don't call them micro-retirements. How about we...
That's just dumb.
How about we macro-retire that phrase of micro-retirement?
Yes, it's a vacation, dog.
It's either vacation or you're between jobs.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Micro-retirement. You got laid off?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the time being.
NBC Sports Northwest once gave me a micro-retirement.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, if you are planning on taking a micro-retirement, EA Sports College Football is getting ready to come out, and we've got some changes in there as it may pertain to some of the, not only rosters, but the coaches and the profiles that kind of come along with this multi-billion-dollar industry. There are some folks that are still being stubborn. Doesn't matter. We'll get to that next year on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
Better than having a micro...
Look, we're coming on the last segment. We're talking about micro-retirements. There's a little bit of a somewhat national holiday micro-retirement that happens as EA's college football is slated to come out here very, very, very soon.
No, it is out.
Is it out?
1 o'clock.
Oh, it is out.
1 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
It's been out for 46 minutes now. And all of a sudden, my Twitter feed is a flood of people complaining about things they cannot do on the new EA Sports College Football 26 game. Apparently, people are having an error message if their photo or if their logo for a team they want to upload isn't properly loading, and they can't click out of it.
Just
it just says
it
says an error has occurred uploading your photo, and there's no way to click out of that error message.
Yeah, and you've got to restart your system, which sure, great. I will say that whole like build your own school kind of a thing.
Yeah.
There are some artists out there that do incredible stuff. Like it doesn't matter if you want to play as Blue Mountain State, you want to play as the Portland Beavers, like whatever you want, you can find it, and somebody's probably done 99.9% better than you will ever do if you try to do it yourself.
Achilles Smith is already putting in Achilles Smith Jr. as the quarterback. He's got that on there.
The number of guys that are subbing themselves in there. I saw one where a kicker got his, and he had like a 59 overall. He was like, the caption was like, "I have the worst overall on the team, but I'm in the game."
Yeah, that's pretty cool. EA Sports, it's in the game.
And look, when this first happened, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have to pay all these players this, that, and the other." Yeah, you're going to have to pay Arch Manning a crap ton. Yeah, you're going to have to pay Jeremiah Smith a crap ton. But also, players are going to get paid out via NIL this year, $2.85 billion.
Hey, I'll tell you what, EA Sports got hit so hard in the pocketbook, they decided to bring back the college basketball game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's working out real bad for them. And they started at $600 last year. I think they're up to $800 now for every athlete. Plus, the big boys get a bigger chunk.
Well, and they have the new pay scale for if your team gets used more, that university gets a bigger cut. So like Oregon's probably going to get a pretty big chunk of change because people like their uniforms and they want all the different uniforms.
Branding matters.
They're going to use it. Yeah.
One of the things that came out of this too is you can hat fake.
You can do that? You do the hat dance?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So in your Road to Glory dynasty player that you're playing with, you can irritate some folks.
Yeah, all right.
But there are
piss off a fan base.
Another way to piss off a fan base is there are still coaches that are opting out of doing this, and it's like, but why?
Yeah, this is one I don't get for the coaches, and some of them, they understand the game of recruiting. It will not be surprising to you to know that, and by the way, the full list of coaches is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 long. Out of 136 teams that are in this, there's only 12 coaches that opted out.
And I don't think there's one in here that's surprising.
I think that, and I think a couple of them, they're just such new hires, they probably didn't have enough time to get them into the game, including Jason Eck, who went from the University of Idaho down to New Mexico. He went from being an FCS coach, so they weren't working on him. And now he's down at New Mexico. Brian Vincent, who's at Louisiana Monroe. Charles Kelly, not that Charles Kelly, who took over for Rich Rodriguez at Jacksonville State. They've been working on getting these coaches in for a long time. And that's why I don't think you're going to see that's why I don't think you see Bill Belichick either. Bill Belichick is a coach that's not in here.
Yeah. That's, if I remember right, is Dion one of the guys that like Barkley opted out of the players union?
Dion and Belichick both asked they do not want to be involved with the game.
Yeah, and
Deion Sanders is not in the game, and that one
it's not in the game.
Do not get, dude. If recruiting is your thing, and this game is bending over backwards to get traditions in. Coach Prime would be down there, and he would be labeled as Coach Prime.
Yeah, running
he
out
would
with
have
Ralphie.
his cowboy hat on, in his blender sunglasses. He would be,
and his chains.
It would be all Dion.
Yeah,
I mean, he'd probably at some point get fired up, kick a shoe off, and you'd see like 3 toes, and you'd be like, "What?"
Yeah,
but that might happen. I don't know. But Dion,
that might make LeVar Ball jealous.
Dion not being in the game is surprising to me. The other ones are, I totally.
If I'm not mistaken, Dion and Belichick both opted out of the union stuff when they were in the NFL too.
Yikes!
Because like if you try to play any NBA game from when Barkley was in, Barkley was not a member of the players union. He's one of the guys who's like, nope.
But
nope.
Also, Mario Cristobal
Jordan was never in it either, was he?
Jordan was. He just was not in an NBA jam.
Yeah.
And then he eventually was.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But Mario Cristobal's not in it?
That's a weird one.
You are a recruiter, dude. Like, that's what you do. Slip him a hundo and make yourself look even more jacked than you are, Mario.
And throw up the U. Like this, this just feels like missing the forest for the trees, man. Like it's such a simple thing. Don't make it about the money. Lean into it. Have fun with it. Like, I guess the counter to it is the way that they're getting publicity out of it is that they're not in it.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
if you want to play the devil's advocate side of it, I think it's
I just
dumb.
care about football so much. The least surprising coach on this list is not Belichick. And it is not Deion Sanders. It is Kirk Ferentz of the University of Iowa. Not in it.
I thought you might. I had it narrowed down to two.
No, it's
Kirk or Bronco.
Kirk Ferentz. Yeah. Bronco Mendenhall. Yeah. He's not in it either. I think that's just not wanting to.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like a.
No, I'm good.
But Kirk Ferentz is probably red-assed about this. Like, they shouldn't be getting that money. Oh, it's amazing. Dabo Swinney's in it because he wants to see himself running down the hill before anybody else in Death Valley there at Clemson.
Touching the rock, baby.
That guy.
Yeah.
But, if you're going to play with North Carolina, no Bill Belichick, Mark Carney, that's Kent State's coach, if you didn't know that. Mario Cristobal, Trent Dilfer, UAB's head coach, he's not in it.
That's not surprising.
Jason Eck of New Mexico, Kirk Ferentz of Iowa, Tyson Helton of Western Kentucky, also a late hire, Charles Kelly, Jacksonville State, Bronco Mendenhall, Frank Reich at Stanford. That's a tough one to get in because of how late they've they fired their head coach.
And Stanford's probably just like, you know what, we're chilling. We also don't need the money because we have the largest endowment in sports.
Dion and then Brian Vincent at ULM. So I will be interested to see what, like Trent Bray and Dan Lanning. What do those guys look like on the sideline?
Well, I mean,
they're going to have like
Lanning probably went all in because he's on the cover.
Yeah, he is.
Him
and like 85 other people are on the cover.
The coaches that are featured: Lane Kiffin, Ryan Day, Dan Lanning. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think there's one more that's featured. Sark. I think Sark was featured.
Also,
on the cover.
He understands recruiting.
Yeah,
in that all of these kids are playing in that game.
It's in everyone's living room. The guys you currently have and the guys that are prospective. Like that part of it. Like, look at every single photo that comes out from a recruiting visit. Like when a guy's narrowed down to 4 schools or whatever it is, it's never here's the photo of the kid at whatever camp. It's them decked out in the most over-the-top gear with a chain, lights and smoke and fire. It's just the most obscene thing you've ever seen. It's for every single one of them. It's like, it's all marketing. It's all branding. It's all a part of the pomp and circumstance. Be a part of it and make money. Why would you not do it?
What an exciting time.
One of the most hated uniforms by Oregon fans is one of the most popular with recruits. When they dressed like a duck and lost to Colorado.
I thought it was the eggshell.
Oh, no. I like the eggshell. It's a good look. But when they dressed like a duck and lost to Colorado, kids love, like recruits, they love that. You'll see like recruits, they'll post their photos and they're dressed up in those uniforms. Like, they absolutely love them.
That green?
No. Do you know what uniform I'm talking about?
I thought you were about the green one.
Well, it is a green jersey, but it's with orange socks, white pants, green jersey, a white helmet with an orange face mask that you look like a duck. Yeah.
Walk like a duck, talk like a duck.
A lot of the Oregon fans hated that, and they hated the ones where they dressed like Cal and lost to UW.
Well, that's
I think the game
that's easy to figure out.
Played more. It was the state flag, but that duck uniform, fans love them. Or the kids love them. The kids love that uniform, and a lot of Oregon fans are just like, no, never want to see him again.
It brings up bad memories.
They love him.
Yep. But again, Dion and Belichick it feels like they're doing it just to be spiteful.
Oh.
So
well, my face, instant face, your face.
Oh, I don't understand these games.
Well,
we're out of Cincinnati.
When we talk about the EA college football and the rivalries coming out of that, I love kind of diving into these because I think they get really interesting, especially with the space that we're in right now. There's an article that came out, the 100 best rivalries in college football. The question I have right now is, number one, where do these kind of like top 5, top 10 fall? But is it possible to make new rivalries as teams are moving around, shifting around, and do they matter as much going forward? We'll get to that and more in hour number 3 on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
I might
From the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, a trade this morning in the association. ESPN reporting the Clippers, Jazz, and Heat have agreed to a trade that sends Norman Powell to Miami, John Collins to Los Angeles, and Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson to Utah. The Jazz will also receive a 2027 second-round pick from the Clippers. The deal sending Anthony Simons to the Celtics for Drew Holiday now complete, and it is a straight-up player-for-player trade. Previously reported Portland would also send 2 second-round picks to Boston. That changed once the Blazers got back the medicals on Drew Holiday. The Mariners, they're off today after finishing off a sweep of the Pirates. They hit the road for a 6-game trip, finishing off the first half of the season. That starts tomorrow in the Bronx against the Yankees. Mariners second in the AL West, 7 games back of the Astros. And complete rosters have been announced for next week's All-Star game at Truist Park in Atlanta. Joining starting catcher Cal Raleigh from the Mariners, outfielder Julio Rodriguez, and pitchers Andres Munoz and Brian Wu. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Hot Corner, now in its new time. Tuesdays at 7 after Isaac and Sue on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. Danny and Dusty.
My Uncle Gus is the uncle that likes to work the grill. As soon as he walk in the house, he's like, get away from that grill. You don't know how to start no fire.
With the latest on the Blazers, Ducks, Beavers, and the hottest topics in sports.
We're going to eat a hamburger, okay? Here we go. Charlie, throw the match. Now that's a fire.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
I'm not cooking them brontosaurus burger.
The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on a Monday afternoon on Danny and Dusty, whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080am The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080am The Fan. We appreciate you, love you. Hopefully everybody made it out of the 4th of July weekend with the same amount of digits that they went in with. That is important, for the love of God.
That's a great qualifier there because, I mean, if you started the weekend with 8 fingers and you left with 8, that's
fine.
good. That's a win. That's a win, like Uncle Stubbs or whatever his name was.
Whatever the number you
Spud.
went in with.
Yep,
Uncle Spud.
McKinsey.
Yeah, well, if Spud turned to Stubbs, then he did not.
That's right.
He did not complete the task.
Well, he inspired JPP.
By slamming his hands into a dryer?
I have a feeling that was probably less painful than the fireworks alternative.
No, I'm not going to lie here, Rust. You seem to me to be a kid that was maybe a little rambunctious around the house.
Actually, no, I was a delight.
Okay, I definitely know that you were now. I bet you were like, I bet little Jeffy was hiding in the dryer or just messing around with the dryer, and your parents told you, "Hey, you know how Uncle Spud lost his fingers in the dryer?" And you're like, oh, and now here you are, grown-ass man, and you still believe that you definitely believe that that is the true story.
Well, guess what? I can definitely say that I did once play hide-and-go-seek and went into the dryer.
Yes.
And my mom was like, what are you doing?
100%. They told you your Uncle Spud lost his fingers in a dryer to stop you from going near that dryer.
Yeah, and I had to get out and say, I'm sorry, I jeffed up.
I guarantee that's what happened.
What's the Disney movie with the little blue alien?
Lilo and Stitch.
Did you know the difference between the original and
By the
remake?
way, the live action one, delightful.
Well, did you know between the original and the remake, there's a scene where she hides in the dryer. They took that out and they made it a cardboard box because they didn't want
kids to go do that.
Yes. And they were like, we can't do that. And I was like,
did they do that with the Indiana Jones movie where he hid in a refrigerator to survive the nuclear blast?
Probably not. I think I've seen another movie where somebody gets thrown in a refrigerator, some other movie where
there's been a couple of those.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there was a very special very special episode of Punky Brewster where somebody went into a refrigerator as well.
Because it was lead lined, it would protect you from
and
the
locked from
nuclear.
Once you're inside, you're not getting out.
Yeah.
I can't wait for our next doomsday spoof movie where they hide inside a Twinkie because
it's the creamy filling that keeps you safe.
It'll last a nuclear fallout.
Do we climb inside the Twinkie or the cockroach?
Yeah. Yes. All right. It is what is it? It's 32 days, I think is what I saw, until the youngins start reporting for camps
Injected in my veins. In college football?
In the NFL.
Oh, NFL?
Which means college football is
No. I was just looking at this today. July 14th, 1 week from today, you start seeing rookies roll into training camp. Vets come in on the starting on like the 21st and 22nd.
Maybe that's what it was.
I do also have to say that there is, I think, only 2 teams, because, of course, if you're going to play an NFL preseason game, there have to be 2 teams involved. But on July 31st.
Because of the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
Usually, usually it's in August.
Yeah, no.
Gives me the tingles.
I know, right? Your sports pants tight?
We are getting very, very, very close to the footballs making a return.
I think you're excited. Check out these nipples.
Yeah. Last year we did the best trophies in college football, and a lot of those trophies we went through the whole bracket throughout the summer, and there was a whole lot of them. But so many of those trophies are as a part of rivalry games. And The Athletic released their top 100 rivalries in college football. And no, we are not going to go through all 100.
No, because we don't need to go through Mount Union versus Wisconsin Whitewater.
No.
Although I will say, Cat Grizz, elite FCS rivalry.
It's
Montana State. That is an elite, and it's on this list. It is on the list.
I will start at the very top, though, and I don't think there really should be
at 100.
No, at the top, at number 1. I don't think there really should be any pushback to this. According to The Athletic, the number 1 rivalry in college football is Michigan-Ohio State.
Yes, those 2 teams hate each other. We had a fight on the field after this past year's game. Yes, they do hate each other.
We saw Jack Sawyer throw a tantrum like a 5-year-old.
Yes, we did.
And you got a problem with it? Win.
And then go and win a national championship. That team played pissed off after losing for a 4th straight time to Michigan.
I have zero issue in a rivalry game, especially if you stunt on somebody else's field.
Yeah.
I have zero. Right. Baker Mayfield planting the flag, zero issue with it.
Yeah. If you don't like it, don't lose.
Don't lose.
Stop him.
Well, that wasn't even a rivalry game.
No, but I mean,
that was Oklahoma, Ohio State.
Yeah, still, you don't like it, don't lose.
There was some heat with that. That.
Yeah.
And obviously the Kentucky Oklahoma game when they refused to shake Baker's hand before the game, and they were like, would they go 2-9 that season?
Yeah, Kansas.
I'm sorry,
Kansas.
Kansas, not Kentucky.
And then he grabbed his crotch.
Yeah, and then he told the fans behind him, "Go cheer on basketball."
Yeah,
I'm riding Baker Mayfield.
That happens. But Michigan, Ohio State. Not only is it 2 absolute dyed-in-the-wool blue blood programs who have not only climbed the mountain once, but multiple times.
Yep.
You were talking about a rivalry that goes back to 1897 and has 120 games.
Yeah,
played.
Uncle Spud was there.
He was born in 1896.
And it's tight. It's a tight rivalry. Michigan leads 62-56.
Yes, so that's the important part about this is that not only is it
longevity,
it's not just a passionate rivalry with both sides. It's evenly contested. You have moments. You have national championships that have been dictated because of that game. It means a whole hell of a lot. Yep. I have no notes on Michigan, Ohio State being number 1. I'm
a little surprised with number 2, but then again, I'm not, because SEC is going to SEC. Number 2 is Auburn, Alabama.
Oh, I think that this is a rightful spot. I think that maybe you could swap 2 and 3.
That's
where
I
we'll
would
get
go.
to 3. But the Iron Bowl has always meant something.
Yeah, and poisoning a tree.
I mean, you don't get
criminal
much more
charges were filed.
Passionate than poisoning a tree. And again, this one has had national championships be on the line. It's had some incredibly memorable moments. The kick 6, for goodness sakes, to go down to the wire. And look, it's teams that I thought they did a really good job with this list of not having a lot of recency bias.
No.
This one has a twinge of it because it's ahead of number 3.
Yeah, number 3 is Oklahoma, Texas, Red River rivalry. To me, that's the second. There's real hatred there.
Yeah,
that's holy crap hatred when you talk about those 2 programs, and the back and forth of it all. And again, been played since 1900. Texas leads all time 64-51, 5 ties, and again 120 meetings. Not only, I think the key to all, especially these ones at the top. Number 1, longevity.
Yep.
Number 2, they're tightly contested. Number 3, the number of games they've played. There's one in the top 10 that is a one-off in that it stands out because so few games have been played comparatively to everybody else.
If you want to know how important this game is to both the universities, it's played so early in the season. This isn't an end-of-the-year rivalry game. It's played early enough in the year to where you can sit there and measure how that team will finish the season after that game. Because if one team gets waxed by the other, it spirals. And we've seen that happen.
For both sides.
For both sides. And it has catapulted one team season for turnarounds in either direction. But it's the fact that it's always a neutral site game. It's at the Texas State Fair. There is so much bad blood there, and they play for a golden cowboy hat. Come on now,
it's a great trophy.
It's beautiful.
Great trophy. One that you and I have been a part of.
Yeah,
falls in at number 4, and it absolutely should be a top 5 rivalry. Army-Navy.
Don't disagree with it being top 5. I wouldn't disagree if it was number 1 after being there, and that's one of those ones where it's like, you can watch it on TV and it gives you goosebumps. It gives you goosebumps for 3 hours when you're there. And
it's tear-inducing.
It's crazy to see how much that game means to so many people.
That's why it's a standalone that it is.
Yeah.
Army-Navy is a standalone game because of what it is.
Yeah.
And it's the
boy,
history.
Do they hate each other.
Oh, God, it's great, too.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Number 5, another long-time rivalry, USC Notre Dame. Total meetings 95. Notre Dame leads 52-38. Been played since 1926. Obviously, this is a rivalry that's in the news because of whether or not it's going to continue.
Yeah, and this one has given us moments, man. From for decades, it's given us moments, and these teams have been national title contenders. One of them at all times. Like in the 80s, it was more Notre Dame carrying that mantle. In the 2000s, both of them were, that game meant, where were you in the BCS? And now it is leaning more towards Notre Dame, but it is a great rivalry. You played for the Jeweled Shillelagh. That's a good game.
It is.
It's a good game.
If I remember correctly, there were a couple of shillelaghs, weren't there?
I think there are 3.
Notre Dame plays for 2 of them.
Yeah.
One against Purdue, one against USC.
I can't remember the other one. I think there's 3. I can't remember who the other one is though. The other one in here in the top 10 that stood out to me, coming in at number 8, Ohio State, Penn State.
Yeah. By the way, that's behind Nebraska, Oklahoma, which they have not played for a couple of years. Miami, Florida State, which is a great one. Yep. Miami, Florida State, but that game hasn't meant much for a while. Years. Yeah. But then, number 8.
Number 8, Ohio State, Penn State. The thing that stands out is the first meeting was in 1912.
Yeah.
They've only met 40 times.
Yeah, well, because Penn State didn't join the Big Ten until 92, I think. I think it was 92. So they haven't played as consistently as a lot of these schools have. But you want to talk about every game mattering. Holy smokes. Joe Pa's Penn State. There's only been a few down years of this rivalry game because both of these teams have been absolutely dominant
since Penn State came into the Big Ten.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Oregon's first entry on this comes in at number 21. That is Washington, Oregon. They are just behind Harvard, Yale, and just in front of Iowa, Wisconsin.
Boy, I don't think that this game's getting enough credit for what it is.
I'd bump it up probably 5-6 spots.
But I think where it gets bumped back is that both of these teams, historically, it's been long runs. It's been long runs of Washington winning. It was a dozen straight for Oregon. This game has been a series of runs back and forth.
It's never been a back and forth affair.
In that, more recently, it has been. But then also you look at it and you say, it's like, well, it'll be like 3 wins in a row for a team. And very rarely do you have a true back and forth.
And first meeting was December of 1900. They played 117 times. Washington leads all time 63-49.
Yep.
The other one on here for Oregon, up up in the upper echelon is Oregon State coming in number 27. Oregon leads all time 69-49, 128 total meetings. First meeting in 1894.
Yeah, it's one of the longest running rivalry games west of the Mississippi, and it's a great game. And I'm glad it got the credit that it deserves of being a top 30 rivalry in all of college football. Think about it. I mean, you're talking, it's not just the 136 teams that are FBS programs. I mean, Harvard Yale was up there. You have D3 games that are in this, FCS, multiple FCS games that are in the top 100. So for Oregon State to be at 27, I like it. And it's only 2 spots behind Bedlam, for God's sakes. Oklahoma State. I mean, that says something about what this rivalry has been. And look, it may be 69-49, but goodness gracious, the 2000s, that was a back and forth every year. You didn't know what was happening. And these two teams were playing for nothing in like the 80s, and it still was a heated rivalry.
Yeah. That's the thing about it. And that's where I want to go next with this. I wanted to kind of set the table with where we are with rivalries and kind of how they're viewed.
By the way, Apple Cup 30.
Yeah, right 30. There. So that range of basically 20 through 35 is a lot of the in-state rivalries. But the question I really want to know is at least discuss is, can you make new rivalries under the new banner that is college football? And do rivalries matter going forward, or will they carry the same tone as these literal 100+ year rivalries that are there? We'll get to that next year on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Coming out of the last segment, we were discussing the best rivalries in college football, the top 100 fresh from The Athletic. I'm sure they're not getting any kind of hell from any fan base for where they ranked these rivalries. It's maybe the longest comment section I've ever seen on an Athletic article. People are not happy.
Well, of course they're not.
What do you mean my rivalry isn't the best rivalry?
Well, they're probably pissed off at what came in at number 94, which everybody that mocks me for watching MACtion needs to know that the 94th greatest rivalry in all of college football is the Mid-American Conference.
Just the conference.
All of it. MACtion is elite.
MACtion against MACtion.
It is elite. I have a new favorite MAC school, too, by the way.
Oh?
Ohio Bobcats, who I once led to a national title.
On NCAA football?
Yeah, back in college where we had to do random draw for me and my roommates. I took the Ohio Bobcats to a national title.
I did it.
one year.
I got a BCS run with Marshall.
Yeah, I got the Bobcats there, but Ohio is now it's my MACtion school of choice. I have a flavor of MACtion, and it is the Ohio Bobcats. Blair Cavanaugh is coaching there.
I like it.
He's a running backs coach, special teams coach for the Ohio Bobcats. He is the son of Oregon State offensive line coach Mike Cavanaugh,
Who's pretty good.
Go, dude, he's awesome.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
With the EA college football, I had a couple dynasties last year. One where we all took our schools, and then I had multiple others where it was like, no, you have to take 2-star or less, and you have to build it out.
Sure.
That's where the fun comes. You got to put the work in.
Yes, you're damn right.
Got to find those gems and figure it out.
Hop on board with MACtion.
I like it. But now looking at this, I'm really interested to see in the professionalization of college sports, not just college football, but we're on college football now. Where does this go? The dyed-in-the-wool, just 100-year-old rivalries, they aren't going anywhere. Those aren't going anywhere. But number one, can you make rivalries matter like they used to? Number two, can you make new rivalries? Like here on the West Coast, whether it's Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA, going to the Big Ten, can you make rivalries in this new conference?
Yeah, the way that rivalries traditionally have happened, you're probably not going to get the ways that it used to happen, right? Where it was like, we went through this with the trophies, where it's like one coach was accused of poisoning the other team's water before the game, right?
One of them was super racist.
Probably not going to find that in this era. But some of the ways that the traditional rivalries have started, they will continue, which is sometimes it's as easy as a coach taking a shot at the other team in the media, and then the underdog comes and beats them, right?
Did you see Bielema talking about his back and forth?
Dude, like Brett Bielema, Lane Kiffin, those guys are going to start rivalries, right? Like they are the ones that are going to make sure like a new rivalry will start. If Colorado would have beaten Oregon, right? Dion would have made it the biggest thing in the world about Dan Lanning, and he would have made it about the coach. That's how a lot of rivalries start. And that will happen. Like Lane Kiffin is gonna start a rivalry. Like he is gonna do it, and I think he might be trying to do it with Auburn right now.
Yeah.
Like he's going after Hugh Freeze right now, just like on Twitter, he'll subtweet anybody, right? That could be how a rivalry starts. But look at even in the top 10. Penn State, Ohio State, right? First game was in 1912, but they've only played 40 times. Penn State joined the Big Ten, and it was like, oh boy, Ohio State felt threatened by it. If your school goes into a conference and they start winning and winning consistently, and that's the key though, is it has to be consistently. Like Oregon going into the Big Ten and going 13-0 in their first year as a member of the Big Ten and going unbeaten in conference play, pretty good start to it. And then Ohio State, who lost when they came to Eugene, beating Oregon in the Rose Bowl, that can start a rivalry. But you have to have back and forth at the beginning because the regionality is gone, right? Somebody has to feel threatened about something. And the only way that you do that is whether a coach or a player does it in the media, or you go in and you threaten them by saying, no, we're going to win in this conference. And that could be Arizona State in the Big 12 right now. It could be Texas in the SEC starting more rivalries with, if Texas and Georgia have a back and forth that goes. Here's the thing. You're going to have to play each other, SEC, and make it consistent, which I have my doubts over. But if that were to happen, then yes, you're going to start seeing a lot of these games turn into rivalry games.
And that's the question I have is it just seems like we are just cascading towards the super conference. And if that happens, what does that mean for rivalries?
They'll change and evolve.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're not going to go away, and we're not going to start caring less. You'll just move the target to find someone new to hate. And
which I'm all for.
It's going to happen. Like there's no reason why, Stanford and Notre Dame should be rivals.
And yet
they are.
Yeah.
They have a game every single year. They play each other. But you will find a way to have hate in your heart towards another school, and that's really how they start. None of these rivalries that we're talking about are, you know what, we just really respect them, except for maybe the 73rd best rivalry on this, which should climb up, which is Oregon State and Washington State. Oregon State and Washington State come in at 73 on this list of top 100 rivalries. Cougs lead the series 57-49-3.
Yeah, and over 109 meetings, that's damn close.
But these two schools, they've always been like, you know what? Cougs are playing the Ducks, go Cougs. Beavs are playing the Huskies, go Beavs, right? It's been
mutual respect.
It's been back and forth like we got your back on this.
Hey, you're a state school, we got love for you. But now you're all state schools, so now you have to hate each other.
No, now you guys are fighting for supremacy in that conference. And that game's going to mean a little bit more. And you're going to start hating Boise State a little bit more.
I was just going to say, Boise State has an opportunity here to play a real difference maker as far as being a rivalry school, because it's like, oh, it's just Idaho. I can say the state, I swear.
You sure can.
I
believe in you.
The potato guys coming out there and
I'd a pimp Idaho.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah, easy there, micro. But yeah, I'm looking for the teams that can play spoiler. And if they can play spoiler over and over again, it's hard to play spoiler from the top. But when you do that, when Boise State knocks off Oklahoma, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, we don't like those guys.
Games of consequence have to happen. And if they do and they matter, then watch out. It's going to spread like wildfire. And there's always going to be fan bases that are going to want to have a little more piece of that action. And they will grow over time. It will take time, but we'll get those rivalries back. But the important thing is that games like the Apple Cup and the Civil War, they don't go away because they're not in the same conference anymore. Because everything will be cyclical at some point. Now, if the trajectories of the two programs continue on the path that they're on, I don't know, but the Cougs got one last year, and they could do it again. And that game, it will inherently mean more to Oregon State and Washington State when they play Oregon and Washington. And that leads to upsets. And it's so stupid. But it does mean something when you're like, you know what, the attention to detail will be a little bit more that week. Now, if they're just physically better than you and their backups are physically better than you, yeah, you got a problem and you're not going to win that game.
Yeah.
But look at the way that Boise State became a power program. Look at Fresno State, for God's sakes. Like, they had a great coaching staff. They got those guys with the chip on their shoulder that worked their asses off. And in the world of the transfer portal and NIL,
you can capitalize.
If you can get those guys to stick with you, you get them for 3 to 4 years and they grow together and they get better. You can knock someone off. It's going to be hard. And a lot of these rivalries will get even more lopsided than they already are.
Well, the Portland Trailblazers have a guy that they're going to have for at least 4 years. We had our first media availability following a practice with Yong Hansen. And Summer League will get underway. The Portland Trailblazers practiced Saturday, Sunday, today, and I believe tomorrow. They are leaving for Wednesday to head down to Las Vegas. And we get to talk to Hansen and ask him kind of what his role and his expectations and what things have been like. What do you want to see from Hansen in Las Vegas, and what are the expectations? That's what we'll get to next here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by me, the Big Kahuna, on the Fan. First on the Fan, a trade this morning in the NBA. ESPN reporting the Clippers, Jazz, and Heat. They've agreed to a trade that sends Norman Powell to Miami, John Collins to Los Angeles, and Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson to Utah. The Jazz will also receive a 2027 second-round pick from the Clippers. The deal sending Anthony Simons to the Celtics for Drew Holiday now complete. It is a straight-up player-for-player trade. It was previously reported Portland would also send 2 second-round picks to Boston. That changed once Drew Holiday's medicals came back to the Trailblazers. ESPN's Shams Charania reporting Kyle Lowry agreeing to a 1-year deal to return to the 76ers for his 20th NBA season. Over on the Diamond, the Mariners, they're off today after finishing off a sweep of the Pirates. They hit the road for a 6-game trip to finish off the first half of the season. That trip starts tomorrow in the Bronx against the Yankees. The Mariners, second in the AL West, 7 games back of the Astros, and complete rosters have been announced for next week's All-Star Game at Truist Park in Atlanta. Joining starting catcher Cal Raleigh from the Mariners, outfielder Julio Rodriguez, and pitchers Andres Munoz and Brian Wu. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Do it every morning. Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Portland's Sports Leader. 1080 The Fan.
Never gonna get tired of this song. The Portland Trailblazers with a surprise selection.
That's weird. I already am.
A little Parkway Drive. It'll carry on. They bring in Yong Hansen, the surprise pick, number 16 in the NBA draft. He had his introductory press conference up there with Joe Cronin and Chauncey Billups and his translator, kind of, the general stuff. But he got into the building and had his first official practice on Saturday, and we got to talk to him following that practice. Summer League head coach Ronnie Burrell, who's one of the assistant coaches, will be the head coach of Summer League. Ronnie was great. He was here last year. His answers, it's always funny because part of this process of Summer League isn't just for the players, it's for the coaches as well, because they get elevated. Now all of a sudden they've got a mic in front of their face, and what they say or what they don't say is always like Jonah Hursky, who's now the head coach of the Remix, was very tight, wanted to be like very precise with everything. And I remember talking to him at Summer League, like, man, you're doing fine, relax, like you're good.
One of the greatest pieces of advice that I've ever heard is Anthony Leverett's, who does the Next Pitch podcast. He said that he was told in his coaching career, the 6 inches between the lead assistant and the head coach is the biggest gap you will ever feel. And when you're in that seat, it is just different. Everybody's looking to you. You are sending the message. You are setting the tone. It's different than being the star player. It's different than being a lead assistant. It's different than being, a behind-the-bench assistant coach. Even in the Summer League, it is a different animal when you move from one seat to the next one.
Your voice is the one that carries the most weight.
Yep.
And there's just something to be said about that. And Ronnie's been great so far in the interviews. And it was actually funny. We got done yesterday, and we're like, you're pretty good at this. He's like, really? He's like, I thought I sucked. It's one of those things. It's like, no, man, you give great answers. And coming out of the Portland Trailblazers right now, and again, when I say the Portland Trailblazers, this is Ronnie is working as kind of the voice of the organization as Yong Hansen makes his debut. And one of the things that it's just shining through is the thing that they are talking about is adaptability. That is what they are focusing on, not just on the floor, but his adaptability to and the change that he is going to undergo. I don't think general Blazer fan understands the microscope that this young man is going to be under. Basically, the entirety of China, over 1 billion people, are going to have a microscope on this guy 24/7. This is the face of China's basketball right now. We, on Saturday, probably had 12 people in there from Chinese media. At Vegas, I bet you it's 30, if not more. It will be very much like Victor Wembanyama, where an entire conglomerate of French media followed his every move. They've got a documentary already going. They're filming everything. And one of the things that Coach Burrell said was, we know how many eyes are on him, and so we want to slow play this. We want him to get used to the culture, to the language, like the things that you don't really think about. Like, oh, this is a guy who's a basketball player. He's been a professional. He's going into a entirely different country, different food, different rules, different cultural norms, how you interact, the language barrier. And he is trying to really force his English. Like, you can tell anytime he can get it, he'll get it as far as he can. And then he'll go to his translator, Chris, who's with him all the time, and kind of ask him in Mandarin, is it this? And he'll kind of get some feedback and then try to keep going. If he can't, then he hands it over to the translator. So he's trying to work through that. But this is a guy he's staying in a hotel. He's got to find a new house. He's got to get acclimated. He's not going to have a ton of friends and family that are out. There are a lot of off the court things that are very different about this pick, because European norms and American norms are a little bit more aligned. Chinese norms and American norms are not.
No.
It's just, you just take East Asia. It's a very different cultural standpoint. In making those adjustments, it's going to be a lot, and it's going to be thrown at him. And so they're trying to limit how much they throw at him, both culturally and basketball-wise. The one thing everybody says is that basketball-wise, he's very smart. And I've talked to a couple of the players already, and they're like, no, basketball IQ, he's got it. Ryan Rupert told me, he's like, yeah, no, he can pass. He can really sling that thing. But when Hansen came up,
that's a drop.
There you go. When Hansen came up, I thought he was bluntly honest in his assessment. Through his translator, he said, there are too many things being thrown at me right now. And you do not hear guys say that. No, it's professional. It's part of the process. All the tropes that you always hear. his honesty was very, and I wonder, not that Chris isn't doing an accurate job of his translation. I just wonder how that translation actually works out. Is he saying in an American parlance of like, there's a lot being thrown at me, as opposed to there's way too much being thrown at me.
Yeah.
I don't speak Mandarin, so I don't know. And this is not, again, it's not a shot at Chris or Hansen. If that is the word for word literal translation, good on him for being honest. He was like, I just need to slow down. I need to understand. And I asked him about his role, because whether with the Chinese national team or with the Qingdao, the team he played for in the CBA, the Chinese Basketball Association, he was a focal point. This is a guy that averaged 16 and 10, led the CBA in blocks, very high field goal percentage. He was a post-up guy that worked as a center floor playmaker. His role is going to be very different. And when Burrell was asked about his role, he goes, we're formulating a plan. Like, they got to kind of figure out where they can get him involved, how they're going to get him involved, what they're going to do. And to Hansen's credit, he said, I am not looking to post up. I am not looking to be a primary scorer. I'm looking to rebound, grab every single rebound, every loose ball, hit the floor, make all the hustle plays. And I want to create. I want to make my teammates better. And I think he's saying all the right things. He even included a line of, I love making passes because I get an assist and my teammate gets 2 points. But he goes, but I have to be careful not trying to throw the highlight pass every time, because otherwise Coach Chauncey will cuss me out.
Well,
so he's recognizing stuff very quickly. And because everybody's in-house, all of the coaches there. It's not just the summer league coaches. The assistants are there. Chauncey's there. Joe's there. Like, everybody is there to help this process. When you look at all this and you kind of hear all this, like, what do you expect for him at summer league starting on Friday?
Not much. I mean, honestly, like, I think the expectations are going to be high because he was drafted so far above where he was slotted.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that one of the reasons why he was mocked lower is because of everything that you just said. Like, there's a ton of pressure, and you don't know how he is going to handle it. You don't, just like when you were drafting high school kids to the NBA, you didn't know how these kids were going to handle going from being a high school senior to a millionaire overnight. You're taking a young man who doesn't know the language very well, albeit far better than I think most would, being 19 years old, going from Mandarin to English.
Mm-hmm.
He does have a pretty good grasp of it. But you're taking a young man who doesn't know the language from communist China to the United States and saying, now you go and you be the focal point of 1 billion people back home that are all depending on you to be a star.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of pressure on top of all of the cultural things that you're going to have to go through, and it's going to be a completely different world. Now, I think for most people who come from China to the United States, they don't have as many people bending over backwards to make sure you're comfortable in acclimating properly, but that's not still going to make it easier, because those people that come over here don't have the eyes of your entire home country on you, wanting you to succeed, needing you to succeed. Those are big wild cards, on top of the fact that he isn't the most skilled and best player coming over here like Yao Ming was. But everybody's going to kind of assume, hey, first round pick just like Yao Ming.
Yeah,
China.
First round pick, 7-foot Chinese dude.
Yep.
And that's going to be the Chinese Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that kind of gets thrown on top of it. It's like, oh God, all right, let's kind of roll this back. Talking to the organization in general, I asked kind of what would you consider a success for him in year one? In adaptation. That was the success for them. It wasn't necessarily about basketball.
Boy, this team is not going to try and win.
The basketball will come as a part of it, but it's like you've got to get him familiar with everything else. Like, and again, I'm not making the comparison to Jokic. Jokic didn't come out of the gate and become an MVP.
Because he was a second round pick during a Quesarito commercial.
Yep. But again, like the runway, particularly for bigs and point guards, it's the steepest learning curves in the NBA, bar none. And usually rookie bigs struggle with stuff. Rookie point guards struggle with stuff because the asks of them are so huge. Offensively for point guards, defensively for bigs. And that's when I'm watching Hansen, like the things that I'm watching for aren't points, rebounds, assists. It's how he moves, how he reacts, how fast he reacts, how adaptable he can be on the court, because that's what I can see.
Yeah. Well, the last 3 picks have been a point guard and 2 bigs, so if you're hoping for the process to be sped up, it's not.
It does, like, look, Dylan Harper's going to struggle.
Yep.
That, like, rookie point guards just aren't good. That's when Scoot got drafted, I even said it. Like, if Scoot averages 15 and 5, boy, you've done well. Like, the bar to get over is just incredibly difficult. All right, speaking of the Portland Trailblazers, I want to wrap today's show. I want to get our early bets in. The over-under line has been set for NBA win totals. Where are each of us landing going into next year? Which way are you going to go? Danny and Dusty, Tonight Fan.
Thank
All right, before we get out of here, we got an opportunity for you to win a pair of tickets for the Front Row Card Show happening July 19th and 20th at the Oregon Convention Center. We've got your chance to win during our show Monday through Friday all week long. You can text in 503-864-6326 for your chance to win tickets. You need to text the word CARD, C-A-R-D, right meow, to enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Front Row Card Show, again, July 19th and 20th at the Oregon Convention Center. That's C-A-R-D at 503-864-6326. Head to 1080thefan.com for complete details. All right, Las Vegas has set the first over-under total for the Portland Trailblazers at 32.5 wins. Over or under, Senor Hera?
Under.
Oh, under, okay.
Under. Scoring is going to be a problem. I mean, you could be insanely good on the defensive end of the floor, but scoring is going to be an issue. And, you are on the side of they won't be as bad coming out of the gate as they were last year, but they won't have like a 10 of 11 games before the All-Star break and that effort at the end of the year too. But I really do think that there's going to be a learning curve with who is the dominant scorer. Now, you can say Denny, But it's going to be different because he's not playing alongside a dominant scorer or creator that people have to pay attention to. They don't have a knockdown shooter on the perimeter that defenses have to stay honest
The
to.
gravity is going to be very different.
That's going to change a whole hell of a lot. And then no matter what, now that you have DeAndre Ayton out of town, you're going to be young in the front court. And even if Robert Williams is the guy, can you rely on him? No.
Injuries will tell you no.
No. History will tell you And will he even be here? Is Jeremy Grant going to play? I don't know. I have no idea.
No, I
so
think-
right now, as it's constructed, you do Jeremy Grant playing, that will help. That will help. But at the same time, he's your best shooter statistically from a year ago, returning.
And shot creator consistently, like performance over a career. Yeah, he is.
That is a
doesn't mean Scooter, Shaden, or two or Denny or somebody can't show improvement. But yeah, if you're talking about history track record, yeah.
And when Denny felt the most comfortable was at the end of the year last year. He didn't play with Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant wasn't on the floor. They're going to have a feeling out process at the beginning without a pure creator on the floor alongside them to help facilitate that learning curve. And so I'm a little concerned about that. Now, schedule will mean a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, when and where. And,
Yeah.
and health. And that's the thing, knock on wood, the Blazers were very healthy for the most part last year. Even with the win total going up 10 wins, I am much more confident in their floor. Their ceiling, no. But their floor, their defensive floor, I think, is going to keep them in probably 85% of games.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like, they're signaling like we're not going to be very good this year. Like, pump the brakes on this.
I got a beer bet with the listener.
Yeah.
I'm taking the over. I think they're probably going to win about the same amount of games.
Well, this is what fan bases should do. I went through it back to back 100 loss seasons with the Houston Astros, folks. If you set your bar so low, when they hit the over, I'm going to be pumped. You know what you're going to be? You're going to be white knuckling this son of a gun. You're going to be like, oh no.
I mean, I took the under last
and
year.
that's
when it was
kind of
a smaller
miserable.
total.
And guess how happier you were?
Well,
your happiness was, you're never that happy. You get grumpy. But it is a more enjoyable experience if you just set your expectations at the bottom.
The bar's the floor. Rust, which side are you falling on? You taking over or under 32.5?
I'm going to go under.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, look, the only reason why this doesn't, I don't enjoy saying this, but they fell ass backwards into some things last year when they should not have. And look, they're going to have some more growing pains with other younger people and hopefully younger guys that they should be playing over ones that should not be playing that should be elsewhere.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I concur, Doctor.
Look, I'm not really fighting with anybody over this win total. I think
in July?
Well, no, I mean,
we shouldn't be.
I mean, even let's say they do some transaction where Jeremy gets moved and they get some viable players back.
Yeah.
I don't think that fundamentally changes the win-loss total. I don't.
Oh.
I think they kind of are who they are right now because like the big, like to go from like a 33 to 38 win team to a 42, 43, 44 win team is the first big step. And then the bigger step is going from the 44 win team to the 50 win team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the two steps they have to take. But over 32.5 does not seem that far fetched to me. But if the win total, let's say it was set at like 35.5, I'd be a little dicier about that.
Yeah. If they were in the East, I'd take 32.5.
Oh God, yes.
Because nobody's playing over there.
No. Then there's plenty of wins to be had.
Yep. All right. We have another entry into the home run derby.
Oh.
Yeah. Byron Buxton of the Minnesota Twins.
He's got a home run swing.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So now it is Cal Raleigh, big dumper, James Wood,
big old boy,
Ronald Acuna Jr. as the hometown guy, and Byron Buxton. Still waiting.
Wait, so we got a big dumper and a big wood?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Cool.
And Acuna Matata.
And a big Buxton.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And they don't lie.
No. You go with the BBs. All right. That does it for us today. Tomorrow's a Tuesday.
It is. Tuesday.
It'll be a radio show tomorrow. Whoa, that was really loud. Coming up next, you got 4 hours of power from their mouths to your ears. It's prime time with Isaac and Suk. If you're watching this episode, Big Suk has a big black eye.
Oh.
Yeah. Who punched Suk next? on the Fan.
Bye. He can really sling that thing. Absolute dyed-in-the-wool blue butt.
Isaac and Suk here with Ken and Donnie, the advocates. People don't know that it's actually not going to cost them a dime to use you, because people don't know that.
Yeah, it is surprising how few people know that.